We are doomed as a nation. I hope that my evidence before this commission, in the face of real and present danger to my life, will contribute to a change police service, or at the very least, the beginning of a positive change to the police service and the country as a whole.
During his two-day testimony, Witness A highlighted some of the pushback the investigating team in the Armand Swart murder case faced, as one of the accused, Michael Puletau, was a cop, and the other, Katiso Katie Molefe, a businessman with alleged links to senior police officials. Aryan Singh, Eyewitness News.
The presiding judge in the Sexual Harassment Tribunal against Eastern Cape Judge President Selby Mbenenge says the case will be decided according to the law and not the court of public opinion. Arguments in the case wrapped up yesterday, and the Judicial Conduct Tribunal must now consider the evidence. Mbenenge is accused of making unwanted sexual advances to High Court Secretary Andiswa Mengo, but he contends the relationship was consensual. Khomoso Modisa reports.
One of the arguments made by Andiswa Mengo's lawyers was that how the tribunal deals with her complaint against top judge Selby Mbenenge will send a message to the public about what is considered appropriate behavior from a judge. But the chair of the tribunal, retired Judge President Bernard Mwepe, addressed the issue of the matter being adjudicated in the court of public opinion.
We are going to decide this case in accordance with the law and the facts of this case, and not in accordance with the court of public opinion one way or the other. We are totally unmoved by the court of public opinion.
Mwepe has pointed out that some people have already decided on Mbenenge's culpability.
But we can assure the parties that we are not going to consider this case according to slogans or not according to slogans, or we are going to decide it according to the law and the facts and the evidence.
The tribunal has reserved its verdict. Khomoso Modise, Eyewitness News in Rosebank.
And International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola says there is no guarantee that the G20 Leaders Summit will produce a declaration when the bloc meets in South Africa next month. South Africa will wrap up its year-long G20 presidency after more than 100 working group meetings on a range of shared global goals and concerns. This includes talks on economic growth, trade reforms, ballooning debts, the Africa agenda, food security, energy security and climate change. At the end of every G20 presidency, the bloc hopes to agree on a communique on all agreed decisions, with some difference of opinion among G20 member states. Lamola admits achieving consensus may be a tall order.
All countries need to agree on the declaration. It's a consensus-based organization. There has been some of the working groups which don't have a declaration. So we are beginning to accept that could also be the possibility for the Leaders Summit.
But Lamola doesn't believe this will water down the bloc's ambitious outcomes.
We are very looking forward to the outcomes that are ambitious, that will speak to the global south, but also to shine a spotlight on the African continent, the transformation of the international financial architecture, financing for development.
Gold is trading at $4,157.74 an ounce. The rand is at 17.35 to the dollar, 23.14 to the pound, 20.15 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $62.31 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu Interchange. Roadworks are taking place along that route, and that's the reason for that long backup. While in Braamfontein, an accident reported on the Mark 1 North right after the double-decker section. It's causing heavy traffic volumes coming out of Boysons Road. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic on the M2 West between Harderberg Road and the Crown Interchange.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 23 and 25 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, as police continue with an investigation into the shooting of 7 teenagers in Westbury. National Commissioner Fani Masemola has arrived in the area this morning.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela show. Good to be with you this morning. I hope you're good and I hope you had a good night and I hope things are going to go well for you vandag. What is going on in Worsbury? There are 2 young boys that were killed yesterday in a shootout between rival gangs. One of the deceased is, listen to this, 13 years old. How do you explain that? 13 years old. 5 others are in hospital. According to police, these teenagers were approached by 4 suspects on foot carrying firearms and they shot at the victims several times. Here's what the National Police Commissioner, Fanima Samola, said late last night when he arrived on the scene.
The disturbing trend that we have picked up in various parts of the country, young children as young as 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17 years are being used as runners by older gang members and leaders. They have been recruited at a very young age. They are all school-going kids to do the dirty work of these gang members. It is indeed a concerning trend that when police arrest these young members, you'll find many cases being withdrawn or perpetrators are minor and the suspects are referred for other programs including diversion, whereby they will be referred to counseling and or community services.
Yeah, that's what the National Commissioner was saying. I mean, it's just shocking that we've got 13-year-olds, 18-year-olds that are involved in this gang. Is this a trend that you're aware of? If you live in Worsbury or in areas that are affected by gang violence, I mean, these boys are too young. How do they get attracted or recruited into these gangs? Is it about safety and security? Is it about protection? Is it about money? Is it peer pressure? The commissioner says that they now want to question the mother of this 13-year-old that's died.
We are also engaging the homeowner to question individuals who is the mother of one of the boys as to how did she allow such young child to get involved in such activities when they should have been in a classroom. We cannot allow a situation where young children are involved in gambling and gang activities, found smoking, like it was said they were in a group smoking at a specific place. Indeed, the family unit plays an important role to assist the work of the police. It started home where parents and guardians do their part in instilling discipline and monitoring the children.
Yeah, I mean, and it does start at home. But how do you know that the mom actually allowed for this 13-year-old to be part of gang violence? Because sometimes parents are doing the best that they can to raise disciplined children who they always consistently teach to stay away from any criminal activities. But sometimes the kids will behave in the household. They step out, they become completely different human beings. And I wonder, as a parent, how do you protect your children from getting involved in criminality or illegal things in the community? I mean, I know some parents send their kids to boarding school just to keep them away from the community, keep them away from trouble. Some parents ban their kids from going outside the yard after school. They would rather have them indoors with their computer games or on their devices. What do you do to try and keep your children from trouble? Because sometimes they behave in front of you, but become something different as soon as they step out of the house. 011-883-0702. Let's talk on the WhatsApp line. You can send your voice notes on 072-702-1702. Did you hear what came out of the Madlanga Commission and the parliamentary inquiry yesterday? There was a detective who investigated Katie Molefe, who testified. Witness B, in fact, was one of the investigators. He's going to be testifying today at the Madlanga Commission. Becky Cele is expected at the parliamentary inquiry tomorrow. That's going to be fireworks. Listen to what Witness A said about the time they went to arrest Katie Molefe. He was testifying at the Madlanga Commission yesterday.
I was called outside to come and explain to them and tell them to say, no, this was a legit operation that was taking place at Molefe's house. And then I found him I found these members with the members of the TRT outside, and then with also one of the members that we were working with, who was trying to explain to them to say, no, this operation is a legit police operation. And then when I came there, I told them, no, we are executing a J50 here. We are doing an arrest. Then they said, where are you guys coming from? Then I told them, my office, to say, we are coming from organized crime. We're working with the PKTT team. We're doing this operation on a certain case. Then they said, now they need details of the case that we're working on. And they wanted us to brief them on that case, which now we said, no, we cannot do that, because now, what is your interest in the case? Why should we give you the details of the case that we're working on? Because for now, you just told us that you're from DPCI. We haven't verified that. We're just taking it from face value that you're from there. But for us to give you information on the case that we're working on, I don't think that will be proper. And then we didn't give that.
Yeah, sure. Guys, we're dealing with fights, factional fights in the criminal justice system, hey? The SAPS having a confrontation with the Hawks, SAPS making accusations towards IDEC, that investigating unit within the NPA. It's really not looking good for us. I mean, what this witness A is saying is, as the police, they go to arrest Katie Molefe, and then there are members of the Hawks who rock up. And they say, what are you doing here? There's a helicopter hovering above. Are you kidding me? And he says we had to call for backup. So Hawks members want to get there because they were told. Remember who told them? The businessman. No, it's not businessman. Come on, super consultant. Malcolm X. Remember, he came on the show. We interviewed him and he said he's the one that called the head of the Hawks, Godfrey Lebeya, and said, hey, there are people trying to arrest Katie Molefe here. And they claim to be members of the Hawks. But witness A says, no, we've always said we are members of the SAPS. They are the ones, the Hawks members, who came and demanded to know why we are arresting Katie Molefe. And witness A said at the Madlanga Commission yesterday that when we were arresting Katie Molefe, we received so many calls. They received calls from people who, even the head of organized crime, who said, you know how dangerous and powerful Katie Molefe is? That's a person of generals. He's close to generals. And apparently Shadrach Sibiya, the Deputy National Commissioner, was upset that this person was arrested and sent to the Pretoria Central Prison. So there are so many people who were calling this investigator and said, what are you doing? This is dangerous territory. And the fact that Hawks members went to the scene is wild. And we did interview Godfrey Lebeya, the head of the Hawks, who told us why he sent a team to Katie Molefe's house. Maybe we should find those clips and replay them for you. The Hawks head and what Malcolm X told us, who happens to be quite close from what I picked up from him with Godfrey Lebeya, who's now a retired head of the Hawks. I hope they can go to the commission and also help us understand what's going on here. Here's what witness A also said yesterday at the Madlanga Commission about Julius Malema and how apparently close Julius Malema is to Shadrach Sibiya.
He's a Zulu guy. He's a tall guy. Now describing him to me, he's known as Z, who stays in Sandton, who I understood to him to be Z Numano. He said Z is a close friend of Julius Malema, who is a politician, who then tends to be close to General Sibiya. So he was connecting the person that we arrested to Z, and then Z to Julius Malema, and then Julius Malema, who is friend to General Sibiya, the Deputy National Commissioner. Now he's painting a picture to me that I do not know, to now be aware that this is how the chain goes.
Thank you, Witness A.
So, Witness A says that he was also told that Julius Malema is close to this other businessman and Julius Malema also close with Shadrach Sibiya. Now, here's something that's suspicious. And I've said before, in fact, Julius Malema is the one who warned about this. The irony here is is that Julius Malema was warning that we need to be careful of trying to criminalize people who just get mentioned by these people who are testifying. So just because someone's name gets mentioned, we're so quick to think that they are somehow involved in criminal cartels. And we saw it before, even with Diane Collar Barnett. I mean, Julius Malema was one of the people who said, why must Diane Collar Barnett recuse herself or be removed from the parliamentary committee just because the name was mentioned? So now Julius Malema is being mentioned, and there are all sorts of suspicions going around that the reason Julius Malema didn't even come to parliament, because remember, Shadrack Sibiya went to parliament to testify. On the day that he had to be questioned from members of parliament, those 2 days Julius Malema wasn't there because of, we were told, prior commitments. You've got to wonder, now that we are told by witness A that he was told Julius Malema is close to Shadrack Sibiya. What does that mean? Is that why Julius Malema didn't want to ask Shadrack Sibiya questions, or did he really have commitments and he couldn't come to parliament? The Sowetan newspaper called Julius yesterday. I think they tried to get comment from him, and Julius just said, apparently he went on to tweet that, which is, you will never find me, where is that? It says, Baloi, meaning witches, you won't find me in the wrong places. And this is not to suggest that Julius Malema is involved. But if he's close to Shadrack Sibiya, you do have to ask yourself, why didn't you come to parliament on those 2 days to ask Shadrack Sibiya some tough questions? Because that's what we know Julius Malema to be, especially during this parliamentary inquiry. Okay? But we'll see. Let's see what comes out. Once again, we have to be clear. This man, witness A, didn't say Julius Malema is involved in the criminal cartels. He just said that he heard that Julius Malema is close to Shadrack Sibiya. And now people are beginning to wonder, is that why Julius Malema was not there in parliament? So that's what happened at the Madlanga Commission today. Between 10 and 11 o'clock, I do want us to stay on this Madlanga Commission because witness B is going to be testifying. And this is the man who was intricately involved in the investigation of KT Molefe. So there are intricate details that will come out of that. And I think we need to stay on those because, these detectives are testifying remotely from a safe house. And I think we need to pay close attention to what they are revealing because they are substantiating what General Mkhwanazi and General Fani Masemola mentioned at the commission. But at 11 o'clock, we're going to do our Listener's Choice feature. And today we're going to be talking about AIPAC. It's the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. It's a very popular pro-Israeli lobby group, which happens to fund a number of politicians in the U.S. One listener has asked that we discuss what AIPAC is, how influential it is, and how it works. I mean, even Trump's longtime ally, Marjorie Taylor Greene, a longtime ally of Donald Trump, has stated that she does not want funding from AIPAC. And she's been vocal in her criticism of the pro-Israel lobby group, accusing it of serving a foreign country, Israel, and trying to influence American politicians. So we'll tell you about what AIPAC is all about at 11 o'clock. And then we'll wrap up the show at 11:30 with the sharing space. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Let's go straight to your calls on 011-883-0702. I've been asking you about what's been going on in Westbury. Oh, my goodness. The police commissioner is once again on the scene. He was there late last night. These young children getting involved in gang violence is really quite concerning. And I'm asking you as a parent, how do you keep them from trouble? Because sometimes you're raising disciplined kids. As soon as your kids leave the room, they leave the house, they become monsters. They go and bully other kids. They go get involved in criminality, which is where I think we need to be cautious not to blame the parents and ask, why did you allow your kids to? Some parents are doing their best to raise disciplined kids. It's the children who become something else when they're out in the world. Let's go to John first, who's calling us from Davidton. John, good morning.
Hello, how are you, Clement?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, Clement, it's a mixed bag. Sometimes you think you as a parent you can win these wars. You cannot insulate your child. Our kids are social beings. They get mixed with other children. These other children, sometimes they are family-headed, child family-headed families, houses, or their parents who don't care about what is happening because they have lost trust in the government. My last boy, you know, as a teacher, I've been involved in guidance, you know, trying to motivate children, even bringing to school former prisoners. We have seen it all.
Mm.
You can't win the war as long as even our leaders, this children, even the issue of this guy who was found in something with many Lamborghinis and all this, they envy these things. They want to live this type of life.
Mm.
And things are just happening. So you hear a child, you take them to school, when they are inside the car with their friends, they talk about tenders. When I grow up, they know more than we know. They are very smart.
Mm.
And they know that these things are not got through good channels, heavy work, hard work. All these people who are having nice things and living nice life are people who don't follow the rules.
Yeah.
They cut corners. You see.
Yeah, and that's why we need these people to end up in jail, so that when children start envying them, we're able to say, look, they're now in orange overalls. And that's where we need law enforcement. That's where we need the NPA. They're busy fighting each other. There are factional battles unfolding in the criminal justice system. You think we're going to get people in orange overalls when a lot of investment is being made in just fighting each other and trying to find things against each other? It's so terrible. But John, I get your point. And I just hope and I just wish that all these people being found to have been involved in irregularities can be sent straight to jail, including some politicians, so that we have a reference point when these kids are so envious and they are easily swayed by what they see. We're able to say those people ended up in jail. Look at where they are now. Mpo, you're calling from the East End. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Yes, morning, Clement.
Sure.
John is right in that you can't isolate your kids. And I think one of the mistakes, a mistake that we tend to do as parents, especially in the township, we think that if we are too strict, or we in our minds we think we are strict and we're doing the right thing. But I think the saying that says strict parents raise dishonest kids is true. So what seems to have worked for me, I had a just hard talk with my son. I have an 18-year-old boy, and he was also studying to hang with the wrong crowd and smoking and stuff. And I sat him down and asked him for his reasons. Why does he think smoking is cool? Then he tried to deny it and all of that. And then I went on to educate him about how nicotine and marijuana is going to affect his brain, and that this habit that he's picking up, it requires money, and he's not working yet, and it's gonna cause conflict in the house because he's gonna start pinching my loose change and all of that. But I think the clincher is when I told him that he's hurting me. Like, why are you hurting me? Because your actions are hurting me, and as your parent, you know, because you're gonna be a burden to me. Because once you start to lose control and the drugs are starting to affect you, I'm going to be the one who's going to suffer.
Did he get it?
And I think he got it so far, Clement, because now he's all about soccer and doing his schoolwork and stuff. And I can only hope that it continues this way.
I hope so too, Mpo. But good on you as a parent for sitting down with him and also being vulnerable enough to show him how his actions are hurting you as a parent. Let's go to some WhatsApps now on 072-702-1702.
Good morning, Clement. To think that Ramaphosa, after taking intelligence to be under his responsibility, he's acting like he's hearing all of this for the first time. So what is the point of him taking intelligence to his under his responsibility. And secondly, to think that if Mkwanazi followed due process, we wouldn't be informed as we are today of what is really happening in this country. So it shows that sometimes due process doesn't serve the country. It serves the criminals.
Morning, Clement, to your crew there, and morning to everyone else who's listening. You know, Clement, I questioned Malema's absence at the committee during when Tate Sibiya was there. And even before these revelations could come out about him knowing Tate Sibiya, he even confirmed it yesterday. In passing, though, when he said he has the contacts of Tate Sibiya and they would normally talk. I think that may not be a problem per se, but it makes it extremely suspicious for him to be absent during particularly that time. It makes it so suspicious that it raises eyebrows now.
Yeah, look, guys, as I said, let's wait to hear if there's more, because we can't also just, as soon as people are mentioned, then we start thinking that they must be involved somehow in criminal elements. I mean, the witness A didn't suggest that somehow Julius Malema is involved, or he just said Julius Malema is close to Shadrach Sibiya. What I'm more interested in is, could it be that he didn't come to Parliament on the day that Shadrach Sibiya was going to be questioned because he knew that it will come out that maybe we have a close relationship, and therefore, if I'm there asking questions, it's going to sound weird, so I'd rather recuse myself without really recusing myself. So I don't know how deliberate and intentional that decision was, his absence in Parliament on those two crucial days when they were supposed to be questioning Shadrach Sibiya. Because he's been putting some really tough questions to the people who are on the hot seat in Parliament. But somehow he had prior engagements on those two critical days when members of Parliament were going to question Sibiya. And now we find out that apparently he's close to Sibiya. They haven't provided any evidence to back that up. But who knows? They've confiscated Sibiya's phone. Maybe there's more information that's going to come up. It's 9:30. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. We're going to come back with more of your calls and your WhatsApps. Sfiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Parents in Westbury say they are fighting a losing battle because drug lords are using children in their illegal operations. 2 teenagers were shot dead and 5 others injured yesterday during what is believed to be a drugs and gang-related violence. National Police Commissioner Fani Masimula is in Westbury this morning after officers said that the attackers have been identified and will soon be arrested. Precautionary suspension letters have been issued to 8 Milnerton High School pupils allegedly involved in the assault of a fellow learner in Cape Town. A video of the group assaulting another boy at the school has gone viral on social media, sparking widespread public outrage. The group allegedly includes players of the school's first team rugby squad. And Police Minister Senzo Mchunu is back in Parliament this morning to continue answering questions about alleged police corruption and political interference. Today marks his last day of testimony before the ad hoc committee after spending 3 days in the hot seat. Mchunu has so far denied having any connections to attempted murder accused Vusmuzi Ketmatlala. And those are the headlines this EWN, and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, traveling in Kempton Park, we've got an accident reported right on the R21 North. It's after the Ortambo interchange is causing heavy traffic volumes coming out of Barbara Road. While traveling on the N12 West, we've got delays between Edenville Road and the Kimberley's interchange. That's due to roadworks, and more roadworks are taking place along the N3 North, causing heavy traffic volumes between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu interchange. If you're traveling on the Mike 1 North, we still have got that accident right after the double-taker section. It's causing heavy traffic volumes coming out of Boyson's Road. And as a result, the M2 West is also backed up between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange. Please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
What have been some of the main takeaways from the 4 days now that the Member of Parliament, Senzo Mchunu, has been leading his own evidence, but also facing questions from other members of Parliament at that ad hoc committee?
What we observed, he made a second attempt to provide with evidence that there was an attempt by General Mkhwanazi to make a certain kind of threat. He dismissed suggestions that he planned to dine with Pram Khosi and Masala.
Professor Jacob Mofokeng, an independent crime and security expert.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
The milk steamer was loud. So loud that Lungi heard hot milk instead of oat milk. It was bad.
So bad.
The milk didn't really sit right with a lactose intolerant customer. It was bad.
So bad.
Too bad they didn't have Yoko Counter. With Yoko Printer, orders flow straight to the barista.
So good.
Yoko Counter. Super simple POS and payments in one. No contracts, no hidden costs.
The future of mobility is here, and it's powered by clean energy. Join business leaders, policymakers, and innovators at the NEV Summit 2025, taking place on 22 and 23 October. Together, we're driving Africa's green industrial revolution, building new industries, creating jobs, and positioning Gauteng as the hub of sustainable mobility. Visit evsummit2025.co.za to learn more. The NEV Summit 2025, driving Gauteng towards a green automotive economy.
Welcome to the brand new days.
Sail the world with Norwegian Cruise Line, with more to see, more to do, and more to enjoy. Plus, upgrade your holiday with NCL's More at Sea for premium beverages, specialty dining, and much more. Think international cruising. Think NCL. For the best deals available, visit ncl.com or contact your travel agent. Restrictions apply.
Welcome to the brand new days.
As South Africa assumes the G20 presidency in 2025, 702 and Standard Bank Group bring you exclusive conversations with the voices shaping Africa's economic future.
In these conversations, you have corporate leaders who are participating and who are very clear in terms of what they're trying to drive. So having the right individuals in these conversations is important for us as a bank. When we start thinking about being in these forums, there is a focus that says, how do we work together to create opportunities for SMEs? How do we work together to close the funding gap for SMEs? And how do we work together to create adequate support structures for SMEs?
Brought to you by Standard Bank Group on 702. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
24 minutes before 10 o'clock. Back to your calls on 011-883-0702. We'd also taking your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702.
Clement, good morning. And listeners of 702. Clement, look, anonymous. Look, Clement, kids will always be kids. But I taught my 17-year-old, when there's riots, you don't go out. When people are fighting outside our house, they are not in our yard, you are not allowed to even peep in the window. You're not going anywhere. You sit inside the house. That's the rule. Thanks, Clement.
Hi, Clement. It's Retabile here in the Val. Here in Orange Farm, children as young as 11 years, they are being recruited by these drug lords. Oh, so many killings here in Orange Farm. It even appeared on the news. Oh, okay, thank you.
Clement, it's Vincent in Westland. Look, one thing that I've noticed with communities like Westbury just is because in other communities in particular, be it in Soweto, Soshanguve, or Kagiso. We do not have role models when at Clement. We need role models. When people get uplifted in their lives, they move out of such communities. So I think we need to have models in our community, because if a child that does not have a role model, they are more likely to model bad guys in the communities, and this will make them the gonna be criminals and the wanna be criminals. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, hey. Someone else also on the WhatsApp line says, yeah, Clement, we need to have a serious conversation about our kids and role models in our communities. Yeah, but also sometimes you've got kids that do have role models, and somehow still, maybe through peer pressure or maybe through just wanting protection, they end up getting involved in these gangs. I don't know. But one thing I'm trying to be cautious of is to blame the parents, because yes, maybe there are exceptional circumstances where parents are in the knowledge of the activities of their young ones, but most of the times parents are trying to do their best to raise them in a disciplined way and to make them aware of the dangers of being involved with the wrong crowd. But it's the kids themselves that still will pretend like they hear that, like they're disciplined in the household. As soon as they step out, there's trouble, which is why parents often vehemently defend their children, because they're just thinking, this can't be my child who has done that, because I know my own child. So we're talking about this because of what's happened in Westbury. I mean, there are 2 young boys that were killed yesterday in a shootout between rival gangs. One of the deceased is 13 years old. There are 5 others that are in hospital. And the police are saying that these teenagers were approached by 4 suspects on foot carrying firearms, and they were shot at. And then they were shot at several times. And the National Police Commissioner said that they've actually picked up this trend where young people are getting involved in gang violence. Jody, you're calling us from Johannesburg. What are your thoughts? Good morning. Hi, Jody.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you.
Sure.
Well, my thoughts are in 1996,
Yeah.
I spent 6 months with the Fast Guns in Westbury.
Mhm.
I'm a photographer. And I did interviews with the Fast Guns, and I worked in the home with children that were on the streets. And the reason you have to understand, within this area, houses or flats are very small, so children move onto the streets. And in order for them to be protected themselves, they create a family for themselves on the streets. And if they call livers children that don't form part of the gangs. And to be honest, I'm not surprised when you say a 13-year-old. It's not something new. The Fast Guns were in their 20s, and they were the older generation. And the Jonathan D boys were 13, 12, younger.
Oh, my goodness.
And then it goes even younger, because you become a skivvy. You know, you go get a Coke from a shop, etc. And it's not easy, what my perception was, to get out of that area. And the violence that has happened now, like there were the Varados gang that were up Statler Road, and then the Fast Guns at the bottom. And the exact same thing was happening. When I was there, 21-year-olds were killed due to gang violence. Even the Fast Guns were worried that a hand grenade was going to be thrown into their shop. And I just have to say, in terms of having role models, there is someone that comes out of Westbury, and if you're a football fan, you would know Stephen Pienaar. Ajax Cape Town, and he played for Everton in the English Premier League. But, you know, like when I was introduced to the young people, everyone has a nickname in Westbury. Cutie was known as a brilliant gymnast. I was introduced to many people: rapists, rap artists, Godfather, Carthy, drug addicts. sometimes a lucky few with talent are recognized and get the opportunity to develop their skills outside the confines of this environment. Can I read one last thing?
Sure.
It's from the Fast Guns, because I interviewed everyone. There's not a kid around 6 who can't tell you about a gun. My kid is 5. I take my gun home, remove the magazine, and give it to him to play with. He must get used to it. He is the only other man in the house. He will be the next breadwinner. It's not to say that I want him to be a gangster, but he must be gun-wise, because guns can be dangerous, even in your own house.
Sure. Wow, Jody. This is so unbelievable. Just listening to you recount what you experienced. Did they explain to you what attracts them to be part of these gangs? Is it for protection? Is it peer pressure? Is it just that knowing, as you say, that, well, someone has got to be the breadwinner, someone has got to be the man of the house, and at some point there's no way of surviving if you're not going to be with a crew that you work with in the community?
You know, gangsterism has happened. I'm not sure if Don Matera is still around, but I mean, this has been happening from, I don't know if it's the 60s or earlier, and the names of the gangs change and the drugs that they use change, etc. But it is a way to make money. And if you have no hope, even though it's a small area, to get out of there is really, really difficult. And therefore, it is a way to survive, and it's a way to make a living, and it's a way of life. But this is not to say that the whole of Westbury is like that. I was looking at, and I was given full access into the world of gangsterism and into family life. The family that I spent time with, the father was in prison. The mother had 3 children. She just couldn't control her children.
Yeah. Jody, did you write a book about this? Did you document this anywhere else? What you had gotten?
I've got a book called Between Dogs and Wolves, Growing Up with South Africa, and it has part of it in there.
Okay. I'm gonna put you back to the producers. I think I would really want to have an extensive conversation with you. I think stuff that you've picked up during your assignment could really be helpful for us to understand the extent of this gang violence and why people, especially these young ones, are getting involved. I'm going to put you back to the producers, Jody. We'll exchange our contacts, and I'm hoping I can get my hands on your book, read it, and then bring you back so that we can have a much broader conversation with the listeners. On the WhatsApp line, someone says, Clement, I beg to differ. I was raised by strict parents. I wasn't even allowed to go far beyond the gate of our house, and I had a 5 p.m. curfew. I never drank, I never smoked or went to parties until I was 19. Today, I'm a well-mannered man and don't feel like I missed out on anything. In fact, many of the friends I used to admire back then are nowhere near the success that I've achieved. That's a message there from Anonymous. And Anonymous, that's great to hear, but maybe you are one of the exceptions. I mean, I know of people who were raised exactly the same way you described, and they were the first to fall pregnant at the age of 19 or 18. People I've grown up with whose parents were very, 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 very strict. And they were the ones, the ladies were ones to fall pregnant. How do you explain that then? You still have the 5 p.m. curfew. You still have parents who don't allow you to leave the house. They don't allow you to go drink, to go parties. You still fall pregnant. Or as a boy in the household, you still smoke. Because the parents can only do so much. The parents can do as best of a job to try and protect you, to try and instill discipline, to try and be strict towards you. You still go out to the world, and they don't have control over that. It's 13 minutes before 10.
702 afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
There's a question here on the WhatsApp line which says, please ask Professor, why is the HPV vaccine only given to girls?
The short answer in South Africa is more of a cost issue. So certainly boys can also benefit from HPV vaccine. In South Africa, our primary focus from a cost effectiveness perspective and from a public health perspective, what is of most interest to us is ensuring that we can protect against the most severe complication of HPV, which is cervical cancer. And obviously, only women would develop cervical cancer. But HPV vaccines can protect boys as well.
Professor Shabir Madi.
702 afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Why settle for high premiums when you could get a 20% discount on your business insurance? Switch to Outrain's business insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your premium for butcheries, convenience stores, restaurants, pharmacies and other industries. Outrain's business insurance are trusted experts in insuring your business. Get a quick and easy quote to switch and save today. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outrains.co.za. Licensed insured and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
Do you live in an estate, complex or sectional title scheme? The Community Schemes Ombud Service invites you to the Seesaw Sindaba 2025 on the 23rd and 24th of October at the Canvas Riversands Fourways. Join the Minister of Human Settlements, Thembi Simelane, alongside government officials, industry experts and key stakeholders as we explore the future of harmonious living in estates. Register today on seesaws.org.za or on our social media platforms.
He's the boss, the legend, the man whose music defined generations. Now, his story hits cinemas in Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, from 24 October. And 702 is giving you the chance to win big this week. We're celebrating the icon with 2 truths and a lie. 3 facts about Bruce. One's not quite true. WhatsApp the keyword Springsteen ZA to 0702 702 1702. And we could call you to play every day this week. Spot the line and win 2,000 Rand cash and a shot at a collector's vinyl package every fan will envy. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com. Only on 702.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
10 minutes before 10 o'clock. I'm going to go back to your calls and your WhatsApps in a moment. But quickly, remember earlier on I told you about what Witness A said about as the police, SAPS, when they went to arrest Katie Molefe, they were confronted by members of the Hawks, and members of the Hawks demanded to know, what are you guys doing here? Why are you arresting this guy? What are the charges? And the SAPS guy says, no, but you've got no business knowing that. This is the work we're doing. It's legitimate. And because we always have to remember so that we connect the dots here. Why were the members of the Hawks at Katie Molefe's house? Who called them to come to Katie Molefe's house? And for what reason? Well, Malcolm X was on this show. And he told us that he's the one who called the head of the Hawks to send a team to Katie Molefe's house because Katie was about to be arrested. Do you have a relationship with Godfrey Lebeya that gives you the access to call him? Because you could have called the station commander or another police station. Can you help me understand that relationship with the former Hawks head?
At the time, I got a call from Katie Molefe's brother or friend, as you said it. The first person I called was the Minister of the Police. He didn't pick up. Then I called the head of the Hawks because I wanted to call at the minister and say, hey, there are policemen here who say they are policemen. When I didn't pick up, I called Lebeya. In my life, I've met Lebeya once in his office in Pretoria. He's got my number. I've got his number. Now, all these people, politicians, they are human beings. They are accessible. And as a super consultant...
And he's not a politician, remember. He's not a politician. He's a law officer. He's a Hawks head.
Yes. Look, I've got access to his bosses. They have access to me. As a super consultant in my business, you must have access to everyone.
When you say his bosses, what do you mean?
I'm talking about the ministers.
Hey, make me a super consultant, please. Because, if you have got access to the Hawks heads bosses, the ministers, because as a super consultant, that's the access you need. Interesting. Now, that's the man who called Godfrey Bia and said, hey, there are people here that are arresting Katie Molefe. The Hawks head, who's now retired, we also brought him on the show and we asked him, why did you send a team when the SAPS were doing their job and you sent your team to Katie Molefe's house? This is how he was responding to that.
Did you send members of the Hawks to the home of Mr. Molefe?
Yeah. Let me explain it in this way. The members of the Hawks were never dispatched to go and stop the effecting of the arrest. That is the first statement that I want to make. Then I come to indicate how the members of the Hawks found themselves at the address of this individual. On the day of the 6th of December 2024, the DPCI was having its annual national awards at Diep en die Berg in Pretoria. While we were there, I received a call from a person who is a source. It is a source that I will not mention his name. At some stage, if it becomes necessary, he might have to be called to come and testify before the commission if that takes off. But that is, that we don't reveal sources, other call them whistleblowers and the like.
Wow, it was too late because Malcolm X revealed himself and revealed that he's the one that called Hogshead. The only thing Malcolm X denied was, I am not a source. I'm not an informer within the SAPS. But the Hogshead, in fact, if you listen to that conversation, I go on to ask him, are you saying that the person who called you and said Katie Molefe is about to be arrested is actually someone who's provided credible information before to the police? And the Hogshead, well, the retired now Hogshead, Godfrey Lubia, said, yes, this person has given us good information before. But when I spoke to Malcolm X, he said, no, I'm not a source. But he did confirm he's the one who called Godfrey Lubia. Now, that for me just tells you how powerful even someone like Katie Molefe is. The fact that when you get arrested, there's a helicopter hovering over your house, which is not part of the team that's come to arrest you. And then there's a Hawks team that comes to your house to question the police officers who are arresting you, and they're asking them, what are you doing? And then you've got the head of organized crimes who calls the detective who made the arrest and says, what you have done is not fine. Why are you arresting this chap like that and you're sending him to central prison? Shadrach Sibia is not happy. Shadrach Sibia is the Deputy National Police Commissioner. I mean, how powerful are you that when there's an arrest effected against you, all hell break loose? Hawks gets involved. The Deputy National Commissioner gets upset about something. The head of organized crimes is upset about that. And remember, Katie Molefe is now out on bail. It's 4 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Jody, you calling us from Florida. You want to talk about Westbury. You said you made it out. How? Good morning.
Grace of God, my friend. The grace of God.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that the other Jody spoke about, I love that experience. Not one word of a lie there. I left school at a very, very young age because there were no role models in the house. Because I figured even if I finish school, nothing's going to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I became, because I slept on the floor in the house I lived in, I became so good at learning which car is passing my room. And when the drug dealer passed there, I knew there's he. Let me go speak to him. And I walked into his house. The drug dealer at the time, I walked into his house and I said, I want to sell. You understand? And he said, what do you do? I said, I don't have money, but I'm very good at stealing car radios. And I became very good at car radios. One of the top South African soccer players, you know him as 16V, still owes Jody Meyer 300 rand. You're Dr. Kumalo. Because that's what I did. A boy from Westbury now, Clement, he will be launching his gin at a gin festival on Saturday. Me.
No,
Called Soraki Gin.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that you've made it out, Jody. It's actually quite scary hearing. I mean, for someone so young to also go to a drug lord and say, hey, I'm here, use me. That tells you of what happens in the community and what people end up being recruited. And because sometimes as a child growing up in a community like that, you do ask yourself, what's my future looking like? When everybody I'm seeing almost seems to have been involved in these criminal activities, and that's how they've managed to survive. That's how they've managed to build their homes and their families. So you're the odd one out. So people then end up just submitting themselves to these gangs. Oh, it is really a crisis. It's so concerning. It's 2 minutes before 10.
702. Serving the 702 family in 702 land, including those of you in Krugersdorp. Krugersdorp is the site of an 1880 gathering at which more than 6,000 men vowed to fight for Transvaal's independence. Following the discovery of gold on the Witwatersrand, Krugersdorp was established as a town in 1887. Treason trialist and SACP leader Yusuf Dadoo was born in Krugersdorp, and Brad Binder, the first South African to win a MotoGP championship, is also from Krugersdorp. 702. Let's walk the talk across 702 land, including Krugersdorp.
Okay, Truck 7, that has zero warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without My Way's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
The South African Future Trust Summit returns on 5 and 6 November at the Sandton Convention Centre in partnership with Standard Bank and 702. Expect higher stakes, bolder ideas and bigger names. Hear from Grace Andrews, creator entrepreneur, former brand director for Stephen Bartlett and the Diary of a CEO. Experience the Big Pitch Finals where South Africa's brightest startups compete live for $1 million in funding. Get your tickets at summit.southafricanfuturetrust.org.
Running a business is tough. You need tools that just work. That's why more South African businesses are switching to Mac. At iStore, we make it easy with 4,000 rands in added value when you switch. That's 3 years extended warranty and remote tech support, leaving you to focus on everything else. Switch to Mac with iStore, your expert partner. T's and C's apply. Mac at iStore. Run smooth as business should.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Parents in Westbury say they are fighting a losing battle because drug lords are using children in their illegal operations. 2 teenagers were shot dead and 5 others injured yesterday during what is believed to be drug and gang-related violence. National Police Commissioner Fani Masimula is in Westbury this morning after officers said that the attackers have been identified and will be arrested soon. This mother has blamed police for their alleged failure to end the drug problem in the area.
This is a war of drugs. They're using our children to sell drugs. And this has been going on for years and years. And even the police knows about this. And they're doing nothing because they're collecting money from these drug lords. We are sick and tired of our children dying every day. What happened yesterday is a continuous thing every day.
8 pupils have been slapped with precautionary suspension letters for allegedly assaulting a fellow pupil at a school in Cape Town. A video of the attack at Milnerton High School has gone viral on social media, sparking widespread public outrage. The group allegedly includes players of the school's first-team rugby squad. Western Cape Education Department spokesperson Bronna Hammond.
Following the immediate and initial investigation by the school governing body, they have met and have issued precautionary suspension letters to 8 learners. They will now face a disciplinary hearing. The school is treating this with the seriousness it deserves and have acted upon the allegations and the video that has emerged.
Police Minister Senzo Mchunu is back in Parliament this morning to continue answering questions about alleged police corruption and political interference. Today marks his last day of testimony before the ad hoc committee after spending 3 days in the hot seat. Mchunu has so far denied having any connections to attempted murder accused Vusumuzi Manyathela. He has also told MPs that there's no evidence linking him to any criminal activity. Babalondenza reports.
Senzo Mchunu appeared for a third day to face more questions about his decision to disband the political killings task team. Mchunu was also grilled about questionable links to individuals implicated in alleged corrupt activity like Vusumuzi Manyathela. The minister told the inquiry that he never laid eyes on Manyathela and only got to know of his name last December. He also says there's no proof that he's committed any crime.
Nobody out there has any confirmation of anything between me and Manyathela. Absolutely nothing. People must remain behind and investigate anything linked, but they still do it on national television without a piece of evidence.
Mchunu will return to Parliament today for a fourth day of questioning before former Minister Clement takes the hot seat tomorrow and Friday. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola says South Africa is still not willing to bow to U.S. pressure to amend some domestic policies as trade negotiations continue. South Africa's refusal to make concessions on its own policies follows Washington's demand to review transformation laws, including controversial legislation on BEE and land expropriation. U.S. President Donald Trump's administration previously led a disinformation campaign against South Africa, incorrectly claiming a genocide against white farmers. Lamola gave a brief update on trade talks while speaking at the Financial Times Africa Summit in London yesterday. Nokayam Dambo reports.
International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola says South Africa won't compromise on its policies to appease Washington. Lamola says the trade talks need to be limited to economic matters.
Yes, that's our view, because we have got sufficient safeguards. If Parliament was not enough, there is a court. The expropriation bill is in our constitutional court, which is very independent.
Despite refusing to give in to concessions, Lamola says the US is not letting up.
Yes, they are insisting that they should reopen, but sometimes, as I've said, some of it is based on a clear misunderstanding. Sometimes it is a clear understanding, it's just an ideological issue.
South Africa, which is being levied a 30% duty, has been trying to secure lower tariffs on exports for much of the year. Nogukanya Mdambo, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,157.74 an ounce. The rand is at 17.35 to the dollar, 23.14 to the pound, 20.15 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $62.31 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy delays on the R21 North. That's in the Kempton Park area due to an earlier accident. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the Mike-1 North, there's still queuing traffic. In fact, bumper-to-bumper delays between Boysons and Car Street due to an earlier accident, as well as roadworks along this route.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 23 and 25 degrees. The top story in EW and this hour. Parents in Westbury say they are fighting a losing battle because drug lords are using their children in illegal operations.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Six minutes after 10 o'clock, Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela show. Thanks for staying with us here on 702. This week, we have been taking you live to the Madlanga Commission because there's important evidence coming out. Remember, General Mkhwanazi, General Fanima Samola, they came out, they spoke at a high level. And they did indicate that there are some detectives who are involved in investigations who will give more details. So we're hearing from detectives who are testifying remotely from a safe house. And I think we need to pay close attention to what they are revealing, because they're basically helping us understand what happened during investigations, on Armand Swart's murder, for instance, or why were they convinced that Katie Molefe is linked to any of these crimes they've investigated. All of that information, and also the kind of interference that they faced as police officers on the ground. So I'm going to be taking you now straight to the Madlanga Commission to hear from Witness B, who's currently talking about the process of linking suspects to Armand Swart's murder.
Took their original phones, got into the van with their original phone, including a burner phone. That's where all those phones were confiscated. And then also the one-net engine was also confiscated, but it was booked at Cleprevere SAPS. But most of the phones, including Mabusela's original phone, it was also confiscated at Burnley.
Thank you.
Witness B, you mentioned the person of interest at paragraph 25. Will you share the name with the commission?
Oh, at the time he was a person of interest because we could see the habits, we could see the trade, we could see that this person was very important into this case because seemingly the calls were going to him during scouting, and shortly after the murder. So this person later on, we found out that is Mr. Katiso Mlipe, who was subsequently later added in this matter.
Yes. Witness B, then at paragraph 26, you deal with how Mr. Molefe was then linked to the Swart murder. Can you take the commission through this process?
Oh, yes. Besides what I've already touched on by the cell phone data, and it goes a little further more because even the downloads, they still bring him closer to this case, not even closer. He's part of that. What I can say now, there's a date that I'm gonna mention, but maybe before I go to the date, let me first explain to the commissioners as to why are we here in the first place. This all started when the company at Transnet called SK Group was awarded with a tender. And then in this tender, it has been established that there was a lot of manipulation. First of all, that in the process of awarding that tender, there was two things that were very outstanding. Is to say in competition with this SK Group, there was two also more companies, of which it was Mount Gate Trading and Striveforth. And then as investigation progresses, we learned that this Mount Gate and Striveforth, they actually domained companies, meaning there was no competition in the first place for the SK.
Witness A, can you just...
Oh, something seems to... there seems to be an issue there at the commission. Technical glitches there with Witness B's testimony. I think one of the evidence leaders there said Witness A, but I think she probably meant to say Witness B. Let's take you back.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
I drove through Claim Street. I went past Bruce Street Supermarket, and it is messy. So when you look at cleanup efforts in the CBD, you're thinking, come, spread it far and wide. Or do you say, hang on a minute. These people have made a living for 10, 12, 15 years. And now this informal market is booming. And because there's an election next year, you want to clean up. You think after we vote next year, those stalls won't return? What are your thoughts?
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Live extra with Checkers, SA's #1 in value supermarket. Save big on deals like Sunshine D 40% light or 60% original fat spread, 500 grams, any two for 79 Rand. Baby Soft 2-ply toilet rolls, 9 per pack. And Domestos Power Foam, 450 mils, both for 99 Rand. And Nescafe Gold caffeinated instant coffee, 200 grams, any for 149.99. Valid until Sunday at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
Summer is about rewarding yourself with oceanic views, sizzling braais, and so much more. Earn your share of 120 million Rand in real cash back, depending on your rewards tier, when you pay with your ABSA Visa card. Plus, enter the ABSA Swiper competition and stand a chance to win one of 10 cars. This summer could be the best you've had in years. Your story matters. ABSA, T's and C's apply. ABSA is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
In business today, staying connected and efficient is everything. Vodacom Business is helping companies communicate, collaborate, and grow with smart, reliable solutions. This Thursday from 3 p.m., catch the afternoon drive with John Pellman as he chats to Vodacom Business about how they're helping companies work smarter and stay ahead in a fast-moving world. Only on 702. Let's walk the talk.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
14 minutes after 10 o'clock, the glitches have been fixed. So let's take you back to the Madlanga Commission as witness B continues with her testimony.
Legally like 395, but nothing more than 4 Rand each. However, the SK group, when they submitted their purchase order to them, they were shocked to see they selling the very same spring that was 395 to Transnet on the price of 151 Rand. And then when the inspector to inspect the springs before they were released, they raised a concern to say, how are you aware, Transnet, that you're buying something that worth less than 4 Rand with 151 Rand? And then the inspector said, no, we're not aware, but I'm going to escalate to the managers, of which, according to the inspector, he didn't. But eventually, like, he got to know about the grip of the Q-Tech. That's where the problem started now. Because suddenly there was a new purchase order with now an amended price that was now 5 Rand 10 cents. That was sent to Q-Tech now. Now they've got 2 different prices with 2 purchase orders. Seeing what they've seen, they've decided now to report this matter. There's a whistleblower from the company that decided to report to the Department of Enterprise. And then that's where everything started. Then the department tasked the Transnet to have an investigation. Then investigation ensued, and then eventually Lucky was requested to finish the processes of the tender that was awarded to SK, of which he delayed. He delayed up until the 12th of April. That's where everything started to connect the dots to our case now, because the investigating officer from Transnet, he then now confronted him to say, I need those processes, papers. So, and then we see something happening now in this case. Exactly on the 12th, we see Tau driving to Katiso Mlife's house, according to the data. And then also the tracker, the vehicle tracker. And then they both drive to QTech for the first time. They go scouts there.
Witness B,
and that's
before you move on to that portion, perhaps to just point out to the commissioners that the scheme is described at paragraph 36.3 until 26.3 till 26.5. Witness,
do we have that graph that was displayed?
We can make it available
so that we can insert it into our files.
Certainly.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Kumalo. Witness B, if you can then start at paragraph 26.6. This is now where you deal with the relationship between Mr. Lucky Molefe and Katiso Molefe and his, I guess, the request for assistance in this regard once the scheme was discovered.
Yes. This is now, as I've said, that on the top, that's when now the investigating officer from Transnet requested those documents from Lucky. And then okay, maybe
just to assist you, Witness B, this is where you start to deal with the communication and information from the cell phones, which shows you the communication between Mr. Molefe, Lucky Molefe, and Mr. Katiso Molefe, as well as Mr. Puletau.
The communication, it's mostly between Mr. Mlife and Tau, and then we then see them meeting like personally on the for the first time on the 12th. After we learned that he was requested to bring the papers, but instead of bringing the papers, we see action happening between Tau and Mlife. When they start now going to the very same QTech to scout. And that you could see that from a data that Tau drove to Katiso's place, and then they were together picking up at the same tower at Katiso's place. Shortly, they didn't even take some time. Shortly, they both seen driving together to Bernachem at QTech. And then from there, they go back to Katiso's house. Then Tau goes his way.
And does the scouting only happen on the 12th of April?
That was the beginning. That was the beginning of it. That's why I'm saying it was triggered by the investigating officer requesting these papers. Now it seemed to be urgent. Something needed to be done urgently. Otherwise, there was going to be problems. Because from the 12th, there was a scouting. The 13th, there was a scouting. The 14th, there was a scouting. The 15th, there was a scouting. The 16th, there was a scouting. Subsequently, Armand was killed on the 17th. But there's things that happened in between. We see Katiso sending a name and a number of the intended, supposedly they thought it was a whistleblower, but let me just say of the employee from the QTech, he sent it to Dow. Dow started sharing this with her girlfriend named Lerato, asking her to search and find who is that person, of which Lerato indeed she searched until she find the intended target with his bolts, and she sent it back to them, to Dow, let me not say to them, send it back to Dow, send it back to Katiso, and they agreed that this should be him. And then the scouting continued, and then we could see there was a testing of vehicles and so forth. And in one of the days, we could see Dawes Viano there up until the knock-off time where everybody will leave QTechs. I think they were trying to identify the target. And what is notable, after the 16th from scouting, they go back to Mlipe again.
Thank you, Witness B. Commissioners, this is described in detail at para 26.8 and the sub-paragraphs thereafter.
Maybe just before you leave 26.8, Witness B, you say at one point Katiso Molefe sent details of employees of QTech to Mr. Tau.
That's correct, Commissioner. Yeah. That's when now he sent the cell phone number of the person that was intended to be shot, that was believed to be a whistleblower, and the name. I don't know if it's safe to call out the name of the victim.
No, Witness B, that's not necessary.
But it was not Mr. Swart, is that correct?
No, it was not Mr. Swart. It may be worth me mentioning that in all of this, unfortunately and sadly, Mr. Swart was never the intended target. It was a mistaken of identity.
I don't think we should get to who the actual whistleblower is. Let's leave it there for their own safety. Yes.
Commissioners, just to cross-reference, this would be the annexures that Witness A went through yesterday with all of the stills. So that information is contained there.
Can we? Yes, it's what I was going to raise. Witness A gives dates of scouting, and I think she starts at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think it will be helpful that you cross-reference from yesterday's files, that you tell us the 12th is this exhibit that we looked at yesterday, the 13th is this, because to read this without reference to annexures will be very difficult when the witness is not here.
Commissioner Bailoy, we will do so. I'll just ask that once I get my file with Witness A's annexures, I'll do that exercise and give you the references.
I'm happy that you can even start with that tomorrow morning, if you need the rest of today and the evening to do that cross-referencing.
Thank you. Witness B, at paragraph 20.
Sorry, before you move off this, at paragraph 26.8.4, and perhaps Ms. Bowe, it still falls in the category of what I'm asking, what I've asked that you do for us. The witness says, on 12 April 1st, Mr. Dawi is seen driving to Mr. Molefe's place, and then they both drive to the location for scouting. I don't recall, and the witness, you can remind us, I don't recall that we saw evidence that they were both in the vehicle. I do recall the evidence about the vehicles. The vehicle going to Mr. Molefe and then it leaving. Is there evidence that they were both in the vehicle? And perhaps when you do the exercise that I've asked for, you can try and locate that.
Commissioner Baloy, I think witness B will be of assistance. She referred to cell towers being used to show that they were both at that location.
Let me direct the question to her. Let me do that.
Certainly.
Yes. Witness B, at 26.8.4, you say on the 12th, first Mr. Dawi is seen driving to Mr. Molefe's place, and then they both drive to the location for scouting. How do you know that they were in that vehicle together to the location for scouting?
Commissioner, we know that through the call data. It's the call data that informs us that you can see from the Tao's call data and tracking reports driving to Mlife, and then from Mlife's house, according to call data, they both driving, picking in same towers up until at Vernach and Kiltek, where they were scouting. Why I would refer to say they were driving together, I'm very much aware of the explanation that he gave during the bail, that he forgot the cell phone inside Dao's car. But I'm not convinced, commissioners, because in between he was making calls, let alone receiving calls. Receiving call, I will maybe give him a benefit of the doubt, because even Dao can answer. But making calls from your phone, that's extreme. And I know he was using iPhone, and I'm definitely sure that Dao wouldn't be able to access iPhone without him, because I know the securities in the iPhone. I'm using an iPhone.
Thank you, Witness B.
Thank you, Commissioner Paloy. Witness B, you wrap this section up at paragraph 26.9, where you talk to the motive. Can you explain this to the commissioners with reference to paragraph 26.9? Thank you.
Yes, the motive, yeah. Hence, I reference to the 12 to say we see something common about the date, the 12, because the 12 is when now, like, he was pressured to give the documents, and knowing that there was manipulation in this, and that would have costed him his job and everything that he worked for. And then instead he reached out to the uncle, and the uncle called out to the friend, and they both start scouting as immediately as the 12, because the 12 is the genesis of why we are here now. And then
Oh, sorry. Witness B, what's your belief that Mr. Lucky Molefe ordered the hit based on?
It's based on this SK tender and the whistleblower, because, Commissioner, the actual person that was intended to be killed here is the whistleblower that was blowing the information in this SK tender thing. So unfortunately, we find Mr. Swart being killed, but not the person that was intended to be killed, because now it was creating problems for Lucky at work now that the investigator is now needing to have these documents. And the same documents was going to reveal that these two companies that he said they were in competition with SK, they're actually non-existent.
Sure, yeah, this reads like a movie script. I'm telling you. And the markup. I mean, it's so wild that there's a company that has a relationship with Transnet for about 40 years. They've been selling the springs to Transnet for about 3 rand, 90 rand each. And Katiso Molefe's nephew, Lucky Molefe, then buys the same springs from Q-Tech for 3 rand, 90 rand each, right? And then he then charges Transnet 151 rand for each spring. That's 4,600% markup. And Q-Tech noted that there was no advertisement for the tender. So obviously this lucky chap was pulling some strings to ensure that he got the tender. So who was at Transnet who allowed for them to even try and make an attempt at this? And when the police went to Katie Molefe's house, they found Transnet tender documents. And Katie was trying to say, no, those belongs to my nephew. Again, I remind you, Katie Molefe is out on bail. It's 10:33. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola says officers have expanded their search for gunmen behind the shooting of 7 youngsters in Westbury. It's understood that 4 teenagers yesterday attacked the group in a house that's suspected to be a drug den and opened fire, leaving 2 dead and 5 others critically injured. The attack is believed to be related to ongoing gang violence in the area. The DA in Gauteng is calling for transparency after the Gauteng government revealed Provincial Health HOD Lisiba Molotana was suspended following a lifestyle audit. Now, that audit was conducted by the Special Investigating Unit. It is part of a continuous agreement entered into by the SIU and the government in Gauteng to conduct lifestyle audits on all its senior managers. And intense Russian drone and missile strikes on cities in Ukraine have left at least 6 people dead, including 2 children. President Volodymyr Zelensky says 21 people were wounded in another night of attacks that he says proves Moscow has not come under enough pressure for its continued war. Hours earlier, US President Donald Trump said his plans for an imminent summit in Budapest with Russian leader Vladimir Putin had been shelved as he did not want a wasted meeting. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling in Germiston, there's been an accident on the N3 South. It happened right at the Geldenes interchange. It's causing heavy delays. Please be on the lookout there. While on the M1 South, queuing traffic between Glenhove Road and Empire Road in the Parktown area. That's due to the roadworks that are taking place along this route. Expect more than a 20-minute hold-up. If you're heading towards the CBD at this particular moment, it will take you about 40 minutes traveling out of Sandton. If you're traveling on the N3 North, we still have got those roadworks causing delays in the Kelvin area between Marlborough Drive and the Buccleuch interchange. Please approach with care. And there's also queuing traffic along the N14 East just as you approach Malibongwe Drive. This is just as you come out of the R114. Please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
How much buy-in is there from the ANC on this, and have you had a discussion with them about it?
This is the initial announcement of the bill itself. It is still going to be introduced through a first reading debate into Parliament. We understand we're in coalition agreement with the ANC and national government, but that doesn't mean we need to agree with them all the time. Fundamentally, we are here to represent the interests of voters, and we need to make sure that we call for the policy changes that are required in order to create an inclusive South Africa.
Max Cuthbert.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Get ready, South Africa. Mzansi Ballet proudly presents Sean Bovim's Private Presley, the Ballet, a spectacular reimagining of the life and legend of Elvis Presley, from his military days to his greatest loves, experience the king of rock and roll's story told through breathtaking dance, starring international ballet sensation George Wade from Mexico as Elvis and South Africa's own prima ballerina Angela Revi as Priscilla. Beautiful singers Logan James and Patience Mahema bring some of his unforgettable songs to life. Don't miss this unforgettable tribute on stage at the Peter Tourien Theatre, Monte Cassino on the 25th of October to the 30th of November. Book now at Web Tickets.
With cybersecurity threats increasing year on year, it is becoming more and more critical for businesses to proactively address potential threats. As the newly appointed Google Security Operations Distributor for Africa, DigiCloud Africa is bringing Google-level security, regardless of the underlying platform, to businesses in Africa. Our specialist partners can help your security teams become more efficient and give you the peace of mind you deserve. Contact info@digicloud.africa to scale your security without limits.
You are not dreaming. You are repeating. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Oh, dreamers. They love to watch the dice roll, chasing that rush, that one big win. But then there's a different kind of player. Those who rely on strategy and not chance. Who know that winning is earned. Those people play with SportPesa. SportPesa. Make it count. SportPesa is licensed by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No person under the age of 18 permitted to gamble. National Responsible Gambling Program toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 650 710. Winners know when to stop.
KwaZulu-Natal is South Africa's fastest growing business tourism hub, and the numbers prove it. Since 2020, business events have injected about 1.8 billion rand into the province, driving inclusive growth across the tourism value chain. Today, 702 is in conversation with KZN Tourism and Film. Find out how KwaZulu-Natal is building Africa's global gateway for business. Don't miss 702 in conversation with KZN Tourism and Film today on 702 Drive with John Pellman.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's go back straight to the Madlanga Commission. What we're hearing so far has been how even just the tender was manipulated. Clearly somebody at Transnet was working with Lucky Molefe, who, by the way, is still on the run, right? Apparently, I think there's a warrant of arrest, if I'm not mistaken, for him. He absconded from work, I think at Transnet Freight Rail in December. There are reports that he could be hiding in Mozambique. The same day, they arrested Katie Molefe. But here, when the police went to Katie Molefe's house, they find these tender documents. But also the police are testifying now that Katie Molefe used to drive with a gentleman by the name of Constable or Mr. Tau. This is a man who was in the employ of the SAPS. And he used to drive to Katie Molefe's house, and then they get into one car, they drive to Vereeniging because they are scouting. They needed to know who is the whistleblower, who is the person who blew the whistle, that there is this company called SK Group, right, owned by this Tapelo Molefe chap, this Lucky Molefe chap, which instead of charging R3.95 for these springs to Transnet, he was charging 151 Rand. 4,600% markup on the springs. So there was a whistleblower who spoke out. Now, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Swart was killed in a case of mistaken identity. Tau, who was a police officer, was busy going outside the company where Swart used to work in Vereeniging to try and see who the whistleblower is. They used to park there because they wanted to identify the target. But clearly the wrong target was identified. And now the poor whistleblower is still out there. We don't know their name. That name is not going to be mentioned for their safety. But can you imagine someone who's just exposed this rot? And now they probably have had to be taken to a safe house. They can't probably see even their family. because they wanted to kill this person. And the police have evidence of Katie Molefe and this police officer going out. And when the police found this Tauga, who's a police officer, they asked him, "What are you doing here?" They found him with cartridges, and he was trying to claim that, "No, I'm on duty," until they were able to link him to Katie Molefe. It's shocking. Let's listen to some more revelations from Witness B.
In a form of like enticing you anymore. It was coming in a form of threatening you as well.
Let me understand the evidence on the bribes. Before today, I don't remember, I may have forgotten, but I don't remember that there ever was a categorical offer of a bribe. There was mention of envelopes, one envelope being for the prosecutor, another one for the investigators, plural, and another one, was it for the judicial officer? Yes, 3 envelopes. And my understanding was that Witness A inferred from that this was an enticement to you, the investigators, to take a bribe on the basis that the reference to envelopes was reference to bribes. He never, if I'm correct, ever said that an offer was made. Here's a bribe. Take it. If you don't, B will happen. I may be incorrect.
Chair, that is correct. A Witness B is referring to what informants that they work with would tell them. So not an express, but perhaps let's direct this to the witness to explain it. But it's more that this was outside of official channels. This was their informants informing them that you have these 2 options.
All right. Maybe let me just listen. I will hear what Witness B says when they visit Pretoria. I will say nothing about who they were visiting in Pretoria.
Thank you, Chair. Witness B, do you want to comment on the information you are referring to from informants on bribes and the threats that you were facing?
Yes, I would like to comment. Commissioner, maybe just put everyone on the picture of what was happening here. And yes, I understand we say informant, but this kind of informers, actually, let me say the one that was telling us that information, it was not somebody who detached himself from the closeness of the suspects, if I may put it like that. He will put it in a way as if it's a message. It's a message from where the suspects they have interest or whatever. It's to say this is what is going to happen. This is what you should be doing, or else this is what is going to happen to you. And it went as far as at some point there was, even though there was never a direct approach to say, here's the bribe, you take it or you die or whatever. But there was the point whereby an amount was mentioned
Witness B,
through inform.
Witness B, can you please tell us under what circumstances this happened? Where were you when this was said to you? Where was the person who told you this? Were you in the presence of each other? Unless you are not willing to tell us who this person was, who was this person?
Can I not say who was the person, but I would say this information to me, it gets to me through the colleague, because this informer is directly reporting to the colleague. I was saying at some point the very same informer told the colleague that the amount that was already paid to the investigators, let me say to me in particular, he said I was paid 1.2 meter. And this information comes shortly after Dow is granted bail. He said, you see, I told you that this person has been paid. Like he's speaking from the point of knowing, even knowing the amounts. And everything that he has warned my colleague about, it's happening. So it's easy to believe such person when he says tomorrow this person is going to get paid and the person gets paid. Now he tells my colleague that I've been paid 1.2. So he was supposed to believe even that. But unfortunately, he knows me better than that.
And are you also not willing to tell us who the colleague was?
Oh, I can't.
Chair, I'm going to have to protect the witness from you.
Sorry?
I'm going to have to protect the witness B from you for a little bit. And I think they will touch on the fact that sometimes referring to colleagues compromises them at the stations they work at. So they aren't able to reveal that information.
Well, the witness must tell me that. The witness must tell me that I did not for 1 minute suggest that I was going to press if for whatever reason the witness says they are not willing to divulge who the colleague is or was.
Thank you, Chair. Witness B, can you explain to the Chair why it is you are unwilling to divulge the name of even your colleague?
It's going to expose the identity.
So that is witness B there being asked about where did you get this information from, that the prosecutor was going to be paid. 1.2 million rand has already been paid to the investigator, and she says that will, of course, compromise the identity of that informer. We're going to take a quick ad break. When we come back, we'll take you back to the Madlanga Commission.
Rent up, food up, electricity up, everything up. Except demos at Motor Select. This Friday and Saturday only, we're bringing prices down on demo models from leading brands. Trade your car in and get up to 100,000 Rand trade-in assist in our Demo Deal Dash. 2 days only. Visit SA's largest dealer network at motorselect.co.za to shop our demo range.
Prime Media, South Africa's most trusted media group, presents Prime Impact, a free 1-hour business seminar running daily at the Prime Media offices in Sandton from the 3rd to the 7th of November. Learn how radio and digital can reach your target market and grow your business with more customers. Every registered business receives a tailored demo ad and a simple campaign plan, plus access to event-only package opportunities. Seats are limited. Secure your spot now. Register at primemediaimpact.co.za. That's primeimpact.co.za.
So you thought you were building a business in this economy, but day by day, somehow it grew. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
The vault is loaded. The clock is ticking. Get ready for Swiper by Absa Rewards. Next week, 702 and Absa Rewards could make you up to 30,000 Rand richer. Plus, give you a chance at a brand new JQ J5 Vortex, plus 3 months of premium car insurance from Absa if you're an active Absa Rewards member with a valid driver's license. Want in? Send hashtag Absa Swiper Rewards to 067 384 0022 and catch Swiper by Absa Rewards on 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa. Your story matters. Absa. Absa is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's available at primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702 Let's walk the
9 minutes
talk.
before 11 o'clock, we're back at the Madlanga Commission. Just apologies there. There seems to be a buzzing sound. I think they're still trying to sort it out at the commission. But just be aware of that, please, and bear with us.
Our assassination. Then now that he can do it himself, it was so difficult.
And at paragraph 32, you deal with the threat and risk assessment that you initially done. Can you explain this process?
And then after this now, before we even go for this TRA, we first, maybe it's time now I start immediately after that was released what happened. That was Friday. On the following Saturday, we had to regroup, me and my colleagues.
Okay, Witness B. Witness B, let me stop you because chronologically that happens a little later. So perhaps before we deal with the drastic steps that you took after Mr. Buletao's release, let's first deal with then the meeting with General Shibiri that happens in the 15th of May. So you deal with this at paragraph 34 of your statement. You start from the call you receive from Colonel Mukwena. Can you take it from there?
Oh, yes. And then on this day, it was after hours. I was at home already. Then I received a call from Colonel Mukwena, and then he told me that he was with General Shibiri and he had
Witness B?
Ooh, yeah, the sound is disappointing. The evidence leader is also not switching off her mic. So we can hear from Witness B. Tell you what, while they try to sort it out, let's take another break, and then hopefully by the time we're back, that's all sorted out.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
You might not always notice us, but your safety is our priority. From the moment you step out of your home, drop your child at school, or arrive at work, when you trust someone to cut a new set of keys or attend a packed stadium event. From VIP protection to safeguarding goods and property, your security matters to us. Choose wisely. Choose right. Only use CIRA accredited security service providers. CIRA, safer homes, safer businesses, safer communities.
Trust is earned when it's put to the test. The certainty your data is safe. The knowledge that when threats evolve, you're ahead of them. Vodacom's cybersecurity protects what matters. From national networks to enterprise IP, your data stays secure and your people stay connected. Search Vodacom Business Security. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business. Further together.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
5 minutes before 11 o'clock, Witness B now is talking about a call that she received from Major General Shibiri. This is the head of organized crimes, guys. And he was concerned about why this detective had arrested Katie Molefe and wanted to know what's going on there, and warning these detectives that, do you guys know who Katie Molefe is? Can you guys imagine that? The head of organized crime warning police officers about someone they had arrested and telling them how dangerous the person is. Take a listen.
Right, and then him reporting to the brigadier reporting to the general.
Brigadier being who? The name of the brigadier to which Colonel Mukwena reported?
Brigadier Khopane, sorry.
And then Brigadier Hopani reported to which general?
General Khumalo. Because of many Khumalos, we will say General Mbuso Khumalo.
All right, thank you. I don't recall whether yesterday we got the name of Colonel Mokoena. His first name?
I know him as Colonel Mokoena. I don't know his first name.
All right, we'll get it. I'm sure Ms. Bowe will help us at some point. Thank you, Witness B.
So, Witness B, you are not on first name basis. We can leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Commissioners. We are about to go into the content of the meeting, and I note slightly early, 3 minutes before tea. Perhaps, Chair, this is an opportune time to break.
Let's adjourn and resume at 1:15.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this is crazy stuff. So let me just, before we get to the news, let me just explain to you what's happened so far. So Witness B has been explaining, just as we went now before they broke for lunch or tea, that she got a call. So Katie Molefe gets arrested. And remember, before then, Katie Molefe, according to the police, was working with this guy, Puletau, who was a police officer. Police officer who kept on going to Katie Molefe's house, and then they would go to Vereeniging to start scouting for who is this whistleblower that revealed that Katie Molefe's nephew's company was charging Transnet 151 Rand for springs that Transnet ordinarily would buy for 3.95. And someone ended up being killed, this Mr. Swart, in a case of mistaken identity, because he actually wasn't the whistleblower. The whistleblower is still out there and their identity is being kept. So the head of organized crime is Major General Shibiri. The head of organized crime called this detective and said, "What's going on? Tell me more about this case." And that's when the calls started coming. I mean, the head of organized crimes is concerned about an arrest of someone the police believe is a criminal who has ordered hits. And the Major General even expresses that Shadrach Sibiya, the Deputy National Commissioner, is unhappy about this and where you guys have taken this person you've arrested. I mean, when you listen to the evidence that these police officers have against Katie Molefe and the police officers who were involved, from the evidence that they're saying they have, how do you explain the fact that these are people that are actually out on bail? As dangerous as, because from what we're getting from them, these are dangerous criminals from the evidence that they have. And those people are out on bail. Now you've got investigating officers that are in a safe house, fearing for their life. My goodness. Why? Because they've dared to do their job and expose the rot. You know, listening to this, you actually realize that we're not just, this is so deep-rooted. Like, it is so deep-rooted. The rot in the SAPS, in the criminal justice system, and it's not just going to be resolved by firing just these top cops that are fighting each other. It's much deeper than that. The fact that you've got people like Puletau, who's a police officer who used to report to Katie Molefe's house. They used to go together to go scout in Vereeniging, according to the police. The overhaul of this SAPS is going to take a very long time to take out the rot from the police. Let's get the news. It's 11 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Annual consumer price inflation has slightly increased to 3.4% in September, up from 3.3% in the previous month. This marks the second highest inflation rate recorded this year, following the July peak of 3.5%. Statistics South Africa says the uptick was largely driven by higher prices in several categories, particularly transport as well as restaurants and accommodation. StatsSA's Chief Director for Price Statistics, Patrick Kelly.
On the other hand, food food and non-alcoholic beverages, alcoholic beverages and tobacco, and furnishings, household equipment, and routine maintenance recorded lower rates. Let's start with food and non-alcoholic beverages, which presented a mixed bag in September. Meat and maize meal inflation remained elevated, while price decreases were recorded for products such as milk, eggs, and rice.
National Police Commissioner Fanima Simula says officers have expanded their search for gunmen behind the shooting of 7 youngsters in Westbury. It's understood that 4 teenagers yesterday attacked the group in a house that's suspected to be a drug den and opened fire, leaving 2 dead and 5 others critically injured. The attack is believed to be related to ongoing gang violence in the area. Tanduluhle Ngobo reports.
Fanima Simula says the investigation into the shooting has been intensified while police continue to search for the suspects. He says he's instructed the Provincial Police Commissioner to deal with children who skip school to sit in drug dens.
Most of the children, they bunk school and they go and sit at these lowly lounges and do smoking and all other illegal things.
Masemola says they are also investigating how the teenagers got their hands on the guns used in the latest shooting. He's urged their parents to come forward and help police in making arrests. Tanduluhle Ngobo, Eyewitness News.
The DA in Gauteng is calling for transparency after the Gauteng government revealed Provincial Health HOD Lesiba Malotana was suspended following a lifestyle audit. Now, that audit was conducted by the Special Investigating Unit. It's part of a continuous agreement entered into by the SIU and the government to conduct lifestyle audits on all its senior managers. Tabiso Goba reports.
Speaking before the Gauteng legislature yesterday, Acting Premier MEC Faith Mazibuko says the lifestyle audit classified Gauteng Health HOD Lesiba Malotana as high risk.
And consequently, Premier has noted that the department's performance and the outcome of the lifestyle audit and have requested the Special Investigating Unit to conduct a comprehensive forensic investigation into Mr. Malotana's lifestyle. Hence, Mr. Malotane is now placed on precautionary suspension until the SIU completes its comprehensive forensic investigation.
DA Gauteng spokesperson on health, Jack Bloom, says his party will fight to make sure this matter is resolved in the public domain.
We need to now review all the decisions he's made as a high-risk individual in charge of this department, and we need to find out what is the source of his wealth.
The SIU says it doesn't comment on lifestyle audits, it does on behalf of other departments. Tabisokoba, Eyewitness News.
And intense Russian drone and missile strikes on cities in Ukraine have left at least 6 people dead, including 2 children. President Volodymyr Zelensky says 21 people were wounded in another night of attacks that he says proves that Moscow has not come under enough pressure for its continued war. Hours earlier, US President Donald Trump said that his plans for an imminent summit in Budapest with Russia's Vladimir Putin had been shelved as he did not want a wasted meeting. Gold is trading at $4,157.74 an ounce. The rand is at 17.35 to the dollar, 23.14 to the pound, 20.15 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $62.31 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North between Marlborough Drive and the Buccleuch Interchange. Roadworks are taking place there, while travelling on the M1 South. Heavier traffic volumes towards the Joburg CBD due to more roadworks. Delays between Glenhove Road and Empire Road.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 23 and 25 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Annual consumer price inflation has slightly increased to 3.4% in September, up from 3.3% in the previous month.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
6 minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. We're changing tech now. We are going to focus on our listener's choice feature, but throughout the day here on 702, you'll be getting some more updates about what's come out of the Madlanga Commission, because wow, it's really revealing the extent of connections some of these business people, or according to the police, criminals have with top cops. And the witnesses have just been urging the commission and urging that there must be something done to deal with the interference in the criminal justice system. When the police are doing their work, just because they're dealing with dangerous, well-connected people, their work can be interfered with. Like, we're all equal before the law, and that's what they've been urging the Madlanga Commission to do. So more on what's come out of Madlanga Commission from Witness B throughout the day here on 702. But right now, we start with our Listener's Choice feature.
Burning questions.
Insightful answers.
Listener's Choice.
With Clement Manyathela.
On our Listener's Choice feature today, we're talking about AIPAC. We've spoken about it a number of times when we discuss some politicians in the US, especially in the context of South Africa, politicians who have been trying to get certain bills in Parliament to pass against South Africa, and how linked they are to AIPAC and the kind of funding they've received from AIPAC. It's the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. It's a pro-Israeli lobby group which happens to fund a number of politicians in the US. So one listener has asked that we discuss what AIPAC is, how influential it is, and how it often works. And you'll know that it's often described as one of the most powerful lobbying groups in Washington. It's actually long-shaped how the U.S. engages with Israel, and by extension, the wider Middle East region, right? In recent times, as opinion has been divided on America's role in that war on Gaza, questions about AIPAC's influence have also resurfaced. Even people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, this is someone who was a long-time Trump ally. She has stated that she does not want funding from AIPAC, and has even been vocal in her criticism of the pro-Israel lobby group, accusing it of serving a foreign country, Israel, and trying to influence American politicians. So how exactly does this lobby group operate within the U.S. political system? Yeah? To what extent does it shape even congressional decisions, foreign aid, and diplomatic positioning? And what does its enduring power reveal about the intersection of advocacy, money, and policy making in America's democracy, especially in moments of war and moral complexity? Dr. Oscar van Heerden is an international relations expert who's going to guide us through this conversation. But if you've got your own questions, you've got your own inputs, some thoughts you want to share around AIPAC, what you know, you can give us a call on 011-883-0702. Alternatively, send us your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. Dr. van Heerden, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to your listeners.
What exactly is AIPAC, and how did it rise to become such a powerful force in Washington?
Yeah, as you say, the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee is an organization that, they started out being known as the Jewish lobby. But increasingly, there were those that were saying that referring to it as a Jewish lobby is anti-Semitic, precisely because there's a lot of American Jews and Jews globally that are not in support of AIPAC. And so the politically correct term these days are to say the Israeli lobby. So it is a pro-Israeli lobby, and they were established in 1954, so quite old. In fact, soon after the formation of the State of Israel, who, as you know, came into existence in 1948. So a mere 6 years later, AIPAC was formed and launched in the United States, and the explicit aim is to influence public opinion about Israel, to encourage material aid to the State of Israel by the United States government, and influence opinions and positions on Israel, in the United States polity. And so they developed over a long period and have become well established within the Washington, D.C. psyche.
So are there expectations on the politicians that AIPAC funds? Because often when we were, talking about, congressmen who were trying to push for this bill in the U.S. to review, diplomatic relations and relations with South Africa, when you look deeper, you see that they, some of them have received funding from AIPAC, and one of the things they had mentioned as the basis for the need for this review of relations is South Africa's support or South Africa's actions in the International Court of Justice, where they've accused Israel of genocide. So what I'm trying to figure out is, to what extent does AIPAC have influence, not just on the U.S. government, but on the politicians that it funds?
Yeah, no, look, the agenda of AIPAC is very clear. It is in full support of the settler colonial project that is happening in the Middle East, in Palestine. And it makes no excuses that it defends the state of Israel against all enemies perceived. And the way they do that is to influence politicians in the United States. They have gotten onto a very simple strategy, as I say, as far back as the 1950s, which is that the United States, as the most powerful hegemon globally, needs to be on their side and needs to bat for them. And the way they ensure that is by making sure that they fund, that they influence, that they assist young aspiring politicians on both sides of the aisle, by the way. They are bipartisan. They supported Hillary Clinton just like they supported Donald Trump. So they are not partisan. And they figured out that if we manage to have sufficient influence through our funding and through our assistance, we can then ensure that policy direction goes in a certain way, that certain decisions go in a certain way. And when there's countries like South Africa who openly decides to challenge the state of Israel and the Netanyahu government on the charge of genocide, because they have relations with the United States, AIPAC then comes into the equation and says, how do we influence American politicians in order to deal a blow on South Africa and South Africa-US relations? And that's what we're seeing playing out.
What happens when the politicians that AIPAC has funded begin to change their views about Israel? I gave an example earlier of Marjorie Taylor, who was a long-time Trump ally, who suddenly started talking about AIPAC and how she's refusing to be funded by them, because once you are funded by them, it's almost like you are locked in this expectation and responsibility to push for Israeli interests, even when Israel is not doing things that are right. We've seen even Donald Trump has been frustrated by Benjamin Netanyahu. He's used the F word even before to express his frustrations. But even with that, for some reason, the U.S. will still continue to pass policies and aid that advances the interests of Israel. So can you even criticize Israel when you're funded by AIPAC? Can you even criticize AIPAC, or that will spell trouble for you from what you have seen in your experience?
It spells trouble for you. If you break ranks, if you criticize, if you become oppositional, then it means that you become a target, you become isolated, people disassociate from you, you don't get invited. Washington, D.C., as you can imagine, Clement, it's all about diplomacy, it's all about, engagements, networking, and so forth, and so on. And you simply get excluded from those things. You become isolated because you dare to go up against AIPAC. That, unfortunately, is the reality. And of course, in Washington, because of the constituency-based system that they have, candidates and individual congressmen and women, senators, they all require money in order to remain relevant to their constituencies. And that money comes from AIPAC. And if you go against AIPAC, the money gets withdrawn. You find yourself isolated. You don't get funding for your next campaign, so you might not come back in your seat. They actively fund oppositional candidates because you're no longer one of their preferred ones, and they then fund that candidate to unseat you. So and there's a very interesting book that was written by two international relations scholars, Professor John Mearsheimer and Professor Stephen Walt. It came out roughly in the mid-2000s, 2008, 2009, where they talk about the Israeli lobby, AIPAC, and the U.S. foreign policy, and how AIPAC is manipulating and influencing that policy to the best of the advantage.
Or is AIPAC so advanced that, as you said, it's able to preempt the changes? I mean, as you say, they don't just fund Republicans. So they could very well, when they see that there are shifting dynamics in political support, and then they rush over to the Democrats and they start funding them, knowing that the president is likely to come from there. And then once that president comes in, then they have some level of control and influence over them. How do they keep on managing the shifting dynamics in the U.S.?
Well, yeah, no, that's a very good question, Clement. They keep very, very stringent tabs. They are very much in the milieu of what's happening in Washington, D.C. They keep their finger on the pulse. As you rightfully point out, they know exactly when a president is going to go in a particular direction. Now, usually, we all know that the president of the United States is able to dictate to Israel what to do, when to do it, what not to do, and so on. It always has a stranglehold on Israel and the Israeli government because huge amounts of foreign aid comes from the United States to Israel. Huge amounts of military equipment and defense systems are transferred from the United States to Israel. And so those are levers that the President of the United States can use in order to make sure that Israel toes the line. Now, in the case of Trump, firstly, more than $100 million came from one a person in the U.S., a Jewish woman, who was very clear. She's pro-Israel, she's pro-Zionism, she hates the Palestinians, and so on and so forth. And so already, as he was coming in, he was compromised. That's number one. Number two, over the years, this is the first time that AIPAC now has a majority of their candidates in Senate. And so when it comes to legislation, when it comes to laws that has to be passed by Congress, it has to go through Senate, and AIPAC now has the majority of candidates in the Senate. In other words, if there's any legislation that needs to happen, so for example, I'll give you an example with regards to South Africa. The AGOA trade agreement, as you know, it came to an end at the end of September. Now Congress needs to renew it. It has to go through Senate. And because we have the case against Israel in the ICJ, AIPAC is now putting pressure on their candidate in Senate to say, don't continue with AGOA. Teach South Africa and the Africans a lesson. Similarly, we are trying to negotiate a bilateral trade agreement. As you know, Minister Parks Tau is busy with his team. And it is AIPAC, among others, that are putting undue pressure on legislators and on congressmen and women to try and frustrate the trade agreement with the South Africans. So there's a lot of toing and froing, and Trump, at every turn, when he was supposed to rein Netanyahu in because of the genocide that's unfolding in Gaza and what's going on in the West Bank, he has not done so because, as I say, he's compromised, and that's besides the fact from a Judeo-Christian movement. Remember, Trump is also quite religious, and he also appeals to that gospel belt who all support the Zionists for their own biblical reasons.
What happens though? Because, one of the things I realized when I had the opportunity to be in Washington, D.C. at the very same time that our president was there for a meeting with Trump. And I had a few meetings, with a few people and a few sources before that meeting in the Oval Office. And what I picked up was that what works and like on the streets of Washington, D.C., lobby groups are what really runs Washington, D.C. I mean, there's even a street there where it's just a street, it's offices and buildings of all these lobby groups. So I suppose the question is, do we speak of AIPAC as if it's the only group that's lobbying politicians, or are there other groups that, lobby politicians to push for their own interests that may be as powerful as AIPAC?
Usually, Clement, that's a very good question. Usually the lobby groups are issue-specific groups. It might be environmental lobby groups. It might be lobby groups that are anti-war. It might be lobby groups that are anti-tobacco and substance abuse and so forth. Very rare do you have a lobby group like AIPAC that's sole focus is the promotion of a particular country, which is Israel. Now, one of the criticisms perhaps to the South African government is that we don't have a particular lobby group within the Washington, D.C. Environment, not only to promote trade, not only to promote good relations and tourism and so on and so forth, but also when it comes to these very contentious issues, global issues, Russia and Ukraine, what's happening with the trade war with China. It all affects South Africa and our bottom line, our situation back home. What is it that we are doing, not only through our ambassador and the team that's there in the embassy, but do we have a particular group of people that is lobbying all manner of legislatures, senators, congressmen and women, the Black Caucus, etc., like we used to have during the apartheid days?
Sure, yeah. Let's go to some WhatsApp voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Morning, Clement. The truth is that AIPAC owns American politics, and they have done so for the last half a century. Anyone who denies that doesn't know anything about American politics. All the American presidents were beholden to AIPAC, and that's why it doesn't matter whether you're Democrat or Republican. They all sing the same tune when it comes to Israel. Why is it that Barack Obama went in saying, I'm going to fix this and I'm going to fix that? When he actually got into the White House, he found his hands were tied because he was beholden to AIPAC. Now, the tides are actually turning in the US. The new generation, the baby boomers are going out. The new generation is now realizing that, hang on, Israel is not what we thought it was. It's actually a genocidal apartheid state who is becoming a pariah of the world. And so the politicians are now suddenly changing their tune. All these people who are now saying, I don't want the AIPAC money, have taken the AIPAC money for years, decades, if not decades. So AIPAC basically owns American politics at the moment.
Yeah, Dr. Van Heerden, suppose the question there is what this listener mentions around the younger generation, the younger American voters and even Jewish communities. How do they view AIPAC today? And is there evidence of some kind of generational shift in support or in criticism?
Yeah, no, definitely. There is a shift that's happening. We see it on the university campuses and the draconian clampdown on those that are protesting. And I think there's two elements to it, Clement. On the one hand, the caller is correct. Young people are beginning to see the true Israel in terms of what it's doing to the Palestinian people. Any progressive-minded youngster who wants to have a fairer and a just world will know that there's a reason why apartheid South Africa ended in the 1990s, and that the settler colonial apartheid state called Israel must also come to an end. So there is that element definitely. But I think more importantly, for the average American youngster, Gen Z, is the fact that they are asking the question, why should we suffer at the expense of Israel? Why should our taxpayer monies be sent to Israel as if Israel is a 51st, an additional state of the United States? Because as I said earlier, huge amounts of aid money goes to Israel every year. I mean, just in this last period with the genocide in Gaza, the wars against Lebanon, against Syria, against Iran, and of course the bombing in Qatar, all of that, the United States consistently gave them money to underscore and to support those wars, because those wars cost money. And so over the last 2 years, we're talking of hundreds of billions of US dollars that have left the United States coffers in support of Israel. And the Gen Z generation is saying, why should we hold 3 to 4 jobs just to keep our heads above water when we're sending all those billions to Israel? What's in it for me? And I think that's why there's a mood change that's beginning to take shape in the United States of America.
Yeah, one of the things that have just been shocking to me was just even listening to the presidents of the U.S., whether, as recent as Joe Biden or Kamala Harris when she stepped in, even Donald Trump, even at moments where they are so frustrated by Israel or by Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, the simple thing is a two-state solution, where America says, even from Joe Biden's time, where they were like, we believe in this. This is a two-state solution. This is what's going to resolve this. And Israel doesn't want that. But for some reason, America still sends billion rands in funding, in military aid to Israel, even when Israel is opposing America's view or suggestion on how this war can end in the Middle East. It's just shocking. I mean, the few times where you see them try to criticize Israel, it's like little kids who are scared to go after that one kid because that kid is not going to play with them anymore. It's not going to bring their soccer ball to play with them anymore. Or because the parents of that kid are so powerful, that they themselves are going to end up being in trouble. Like they're always, it's like eggshells, walking on eggshells, even when they can see clearly that what Israel had done, instances where they were killing health workers, and they come and apologize and says, oops, sorry. Oh, they killed kids. Oops, sorry. They killed journalists. Oops, sorry. And it gets to a point where no president with a heart actually is able to defend that. And still, even in that defense, they are so scared to call out Israel. They're so scared. And now, with what Dr. Oscar van Heerden has explained, it really makes sense, doesn't it? Thank you so much for making time for us. Dr. Oscar van Heerden is an international relations expert. It's exactly 11:30. Let's get the latest Now Witness News headlines. Bali, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. A very good morning. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has announced the disbandment of the province's crime prevention wardens. Police experts expressed concern over their lack of training and whether they were equipped to deal with crime. Last year, former Justice Minister Ronald Lamola designated them as peace officers, but questions still remained about the unit's legitimacy. Police Minister Senzo Mchunu has returned to the hot seat in Parliament this morning. Mchunu is continuing to answer questions from MPs on Parliament's ad hoc committee probing allegations of police corruption. His testimony has mostly centred around his decision to disband the political killings task team. And annual consumer price inflation has slightly increased to 3.4% in September, up from 3.3% in the previous month. This marks the second highest inflation rate recorded this year, following the July peak of 3.5%. Statistics South Africa says the uptick was driven by higher prices in several categories, particularly transport. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
The CWN traffic is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you. Amo?
Well, Clement, we've got roadworks on the M1 South. This is between Glenhove Road and Empire Road. They're causing about a 20-minute hold-up there. So heading towards the CBD this morning, do expect about a 20-minute hold-up there. While traveling on the N3 North towards the Kilulis interchange, we've got some delays coming out of Van Buren Road. There's also queuing traffic on the N12 West towards the Kilulis interchange coming out of Edenville Road. If you are traveling on the N3 North towards Woodmead as well as Sunny Hill, expect delays of about 15 minutes. This is between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu interchange, and that's due to the roadworks that are taking place along this route. And then in Sharonlee, some delays on Malibongwe Drive approaching President Foshe Drive coming out of Olivenhot Avenue. Please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. I'm Amo Ramila, and that's your last traffic update from me. Do expect another update from Karabajali from the top of the hour onwards. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Majestic handling. A V8
Cars.coza.
Horsepower that is...
Cars.coza.
This is very annoying. I'm trying to read a car radio advertisement.
Whatever car you want to buy or sell, cut through the and just go to cars.coza and let's find what moves you. Cars.coza.
The Sharing Space
on the Clement Manyathela Show.
702.
11:33, time for the Sharing Space. This is where we share our stories about things that have happened, things that are confusing us, things that are exciting us, maybe something happening at work, something in your personal life, in your own household, while you were on holiday, while you were taking your dog for a walk, whenever. You just share your stories with us. You can send an email on cm@702.co.za. Today we've got a voice note from a listener who's sharing a story. So we'll play it, and then when we come back, I want you to share your own experiences. And if this listener is asking for advice, please be kind enough to give them some.
Hey Clement, I hope you're well. Something happened that has changed the dynamic of my talking stage. I've been talking to this young lady for 3 months now, and I truly think I've met the love of my life. It is something I knew when I first met her. Our talking stage has been going well, but last week during one of our phone calls, I told her that I love her. The conversation was immediately awkward, and she just responded by saying that I am sweet. Since then, our dynamic has completely changed. She feels distant, and I am certain that this is because of what I had said. I don't know how to remedy the situation because I do not want to scare her away. I also do not want to put pressure on her. I didn't take offense when she didn't say she loved me too, because I didn't say this with that expectation. I was just expressing how connected to her I felt. Was I wrong to express it so soon? What do I do now?
All right, so were you wrong to express it? When did he express it? Is it after 3 months? Wait, after 3 months of talking. Okay. People talk for 3 months now. Okay, so Anonymous says he's been on a talking stage with this woman, this lady, and during a conversation they had, he told this lady, this is after 3 months of talking, he told this lady that I love you. He blurted those words. But the lady didn't respond to that, right? And Anonymous now feels like he shouldn't have done that because it has changed the dynamics, because the woman is acting funny now. The lady is acting funny now. And I think both of them had decided from the beginning that, oh, we're just going to get to know each other and let's see where this leads. But clearly this chap is really connected to this woman. Clearly he's connected to this lady, and that's why he said, I love you. And this lady didn't respond to that. But now he's asking, what do I do now? And was I wrong to say I love you to her 3 months into the talking stage? I mean, there are some people that feel overwhelmed by those words, especially if they're still getting to know you. So that's the first thing, I suppose, at least Anonymous, I will say to you. You know, some people feel overwhelmed by that, especially if we've all agreed, yeah, we're still talking. Because then that's separate, that's different from a conversation about can we decide what we're doing? Are we dating or are we not dating? Because I really love you. And now you say I love you. And the sad part is that some people who say I love you, and this is a problematic thing I often find, is why do you say I love you to expect someone to say it back? Why? Right? No, there's nothing wrong with someone saying it back. In fact, you can hope that someone says it back. But why do you sometimes, when you say I love you, and then the next person doesn't say it back, and then that becomes an issue of why didn't you say I love you too? I mean, that's wild. You can think that's wild and it doesn't happen. It does happen in other circumstances. And for me, that's the weird part. So even with you, Anonymous, if you said I love you to this woman and she didn't say anything in return and you found that to be problematic, I find that situation to be problematic. If you love someone and you genuinely want to tell them how you feel about them, tell them how you feel about them regardless of how they respond to it. I mean, sometimes you're busy. Honestly. Sometimes you actually like, oh, you love me. Thank you, babe. Send a kiss. But it will be taken as something else because why didn't you say I love you too? Why didn't you send the same 3 love emojis I sent? You sent only 1 and I sent 3. Oh, yeah. These things can get exhausting. I suppose the difference here is Anonymous and this lady are still at a talking stage. And Anonymous has blatted the words while still at a talking stage. And maybe that woman doesn't love you, Anonymous. Or maybe that woman is still trying to decide whether they want to be in a relationship with you. So my advice would be sit down with her and find out, hey, since I expressed to you how I feel, you've been acting a bit funny. Can we talk about it? Is there still a chance for us? Yeah, maybe chat to her about it and try that out. What's your advice to Anonymous? And have you been in this situation before where you say to someone, and especially someone you're still trying to get to know, that I love you, and sometimes it comes out that it's a mistake, or they've said it to you and you thought, oh my goodness, it's too early for this person to say this. Give us a call on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. I'm going to go to your calls and WhatsApps after this.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
You ultimately are hoping, as with all the other B20 ideas, that they'll filter upwards and become part of the larger conversations at the G20. I mean, how do governments and others who are in as part of the conversation around the B20, what contribution can they make?
I don't think it's a South African problem. I think, these conversations really start shaping how we put policy together. They also start shaping how we collaborate together across multiple sectors.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
Let's count backward. 5. Insurance. 4. Pineapple. 3. Insurance. 2. Pineapple. 1. You're under. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
At Premier Hotels and Resorts, business travelers staying alone enjoy a complimentary drink every night of their stay. So, whatever your tipple, it's on the house at any of our 24 hotels and resorts nationwide. Book today at premierhotels.co.za.
Feel the rhythm of summer at the Old Mutual Music in the Gardens, featuring Mikasa and Jazeel Brothers, live on Saturday, 25 October at the Walter Sisulu Botanical Garden. Experience soulful sounds, sunshine, and good vibes in one of Joburg's most beautiful settings. Get your tickets now at webtickets.co.za. Proudly presented by Old Mutual, 702 and Breakout Events.
In a world shaped by those who build, disrupt, and reimagine, there comes a gathering not just of minds, but of futures. The South African Future Trust Summit, in partnership with Standard Bank, is where top entrepreneurs, innovators, and change makers converge. It's where the future of enterprise is redefined. On 5 and 6 November, you could be there. stand a chance to win tickets to the South African Future Trust Summit on 702. WhatsApp the keyword SAFT with your name and ID number, telling us how you would benefit from attending the summit to 072-702-1702. Then catch 702 Drive with John Perlman to find out if you're a winner. The South African Future Trust Summit in partnership with Standard Bank. Your summit, your way on 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
The Sharing Space
On the Clement Manyathela Show.
702.
18 minutes before 12 o'clock. Let's go straight to your WhatsApps.
Hi, Clement. No, the expression was not soon. 3 months is good enough. The problem, Kehore, where did you do it? Over the phone. What if the girl was expecting a dinner, touching, you say it nicely, like, mo phone. Oh, yeah.
But they've been seeing each other for 3 months. I mean, they've been getting to know each other. They've gone out on dates. They've done all of that. It's just that this time he probably couldn't keep it to himself, and he just had to say, "Oh, yo, I love you." Huh? But all those other things you're mentioning, the impression I got was he has done all of that. It's just that he said it, blurted it out, and lady didn't respond. And since then, things have just been awkward.
Good day, Clement. Hope you're well. For the gentleman, the anonymous, just keep it moving, sir. This woman is not for you. 3 months of talking, and you express what you're feeling, and this is the response that you're getting. Keep it moving, brother. This one is not for you. I would even say she belongs to the streets. Not in 3 months of talking and still nothing. Come on. Women that like you would really appreciate what you said. Even though she doesn't feel the same way, it would not have been awkward. So keep it moving. That's from me. Hector in Madrid.
God, how long do talking stages take these days? Is 3 months a long time, or is it a standard time? And I'm asking different generations here. Please, I'm hoping different generations can respond. Is 3 months talking time too long? Like where you're getting to know someone before you commit to them?
Hey, good afternoon. Oh, good morning. Sorry, Clement. Clement, I feel anonymous to tell the lady 3 months, but talking over the phone. I will actually look as man. It was quite obvious. The lady entertaining her, guys are supposed to do things, take her out, book a weekend holiday and see what is OT. I love you over the phone. I don't know. I will actually look as I will actually.
Morning, Clement and Anonymous. My advice is I've been there, and then you just need to be honest and say, my girl, okay, this is what I feel about you. What do you feel about me? If not, we can continue being friends. If you're afraid to tell me how you feel in a virtue of pursuing, you might find that the fact that she likes you as a friend, so that's not a problem either. Not everyone you love can love you back. So let's just have an open conversation and say, how do you really feel about me? This is how I really feel about me, and what do we go forward? I think that's gonna give you clarity.
Hi, Clement and the team. Great show as always. For Anonymous, it may be that the lady kept quiet because there's something with her. Maybe there's some guy lingering around there. So she's occupied, and now at some point, and now she can't really say it, She can't really say it.
Yeah, look, I don't know. So I don't want us to make assumptions around the lady. Maybe the lady is just not ready. Maybe she is trying to, wean herself off maybe the previous person. I don't know. Or maybe she's concerned about certain things around this guy, that are happening, and she's still trying to figure out, is this the person I want to be with? Who knows? But Anonymous just wants to know, what do I do now? Moya, you're calling us from Fine Town. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
Sure, man. Go ahead.
I was saying this sounds familiar and maybe typical because now when I, as a guy, approach a lady, I'm approaching the lady with the intentions to tell her that I love her. And maybe we might discuss it at the beginning that let's see how this thing goes, but then as we go on and then we go on dates and things like that, I mean, there are signs and symptoms to say I'm in a safe space to actually say I love you. And then when the lady then her response is somewhat awkward, and then it now puts question in the mind of the guy, and then did I say something wrong? Was I too soon? Is she not feeling this? But then all along, whatever we've been doing, it told me that I'm in that safe space to actually say the words I love you. And then sometimes your mind will sometimes take those feelings and then put them right at the back of your mind and suppress them completely, so that when the lady finally says, I love you, and then you are somewhat critical of these words. Is she genuine? Is she trying to accommodate me? Is this the safe space again for me to actually say that I love her? And sometimes these emotions that I felt at the beginning might be completely suppressed, and then I wouldn't know how to act then. I'll just go with the flow and just not knowing that am I in the safe space to actually express my love for her or what, or is she just taking me for a ride? So it's somewhat a psychological thing, if I may say.
Yeah, in fact, Anonymous on Twitter says, Clement, for us ladies, is during moments of intimacy when, yes, you may still be getting to know someone or you've just started dating, and for some reason in that moment of intimacy we end up letting the words unaware, and then we realize much later that, oh damn, this is what I said during that moment of excitement. So that's what Anonymous says there on Twitter. It's 11 minutes before 12. More of your calls and WhatsApps after this.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
We need to be a bit honest with ourselves. The corruptor and the corruptee are part of the same corruption. When you create a narrative that says, no, I was ignorant in this transaction, but like a deranged fool. And now we must sit here and be, shame, you didn't know. It's the fault of these ones. These ones they are very bad. They corrupted me. No, Papa. Now go Metsa. You didn't care about whether or not you were ignorant or not ignorant. You ate.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
KwaZulu-Natal is South Africa's fastest growing business tourism hub, and the numbers prove it. Since 2020, business events have injected 1.8 billion rand into the province. You've got meetings, incentives, conferences and exhibitions driving inclusive growth, reaching even rural and township communities. With strong public-private partnerships, Africa's Travel Indaba secured through 2030, and Durban's ICC now a World Trade Center. KZN is building momentum. It's not just hosting events, it's where Africa meets to do business.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
What does extraordinary mean to you? Is it factories and warehouses that run themselves, or monitoring your assets in real time? Vodacom Business has connected more than 11.1 million IoT devices to enable smarter business, AI, cloud, enterprise apps, IoT and security. One seamless ecosystem. Search Vodacom Business IoT. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business. Further together.
Before a masterpiece takes shape, there's a single line that starts it all, until every curve and every angle reflects the clarity of a single vision. And only then does inspiration take its final form. The all-new Audi A5, designed to inspire. Starting from $14,499 per month with a guaranteed future value. Visit audi.co.za or your nearest dealer for more. T's and C's apply.
This week, 702 is in conversation with Gregory McLennan, the CEO of DigiCloud Africa, Google Cloud's first and leading value-added cloud distributor. They will touch on DigiCloud Africa's appointment as a Google SecOps distribution partner, as well as cybersecurity and how DigiCloud Africa and Google SecOps can help African businesses address any modern threats. Don't miss In Conversation with DigiCloud Africa on Thursday, the 23rd of October on 702 Drive with John Pellman on 702.
The Sharing Space
On the Clement Manyathela Show.
702.
8 minutes before 12 o'clock. Xolela, you're calling from Bedford View. What are your thoughts on Anonymous's problem? Hi.
Hi, Clement. I think Anonymous actually should take it easy, because what if the lady is feeling love bombed? And I mean, 3 months is just the probation period. So the lady is like, now I'm going to get a chance to get to know you better.
Mm-hmm.
And whilst in that process, the guy is like, oh, I love you. And she's still in shock.
Mm. I mean, yeah,
So
it's possible. Yeah, it's possible, Xolela. Yeah. But then what does she do? What would you expect her to say? To say thank you, I will respond at an appropriate time, or just keep it going? Because my issue is, when you tell someone you love them, Xolela, just don't expect that they must say it back. Because that's you feeling like you want to express it. Next time it's them feeling like they want to express it. Why must it be a, oh, I love you too, and if I don't say I love you too, it becomes an issue?
Yeah, no, you are right there. And the least that they can do is to say thank you or you're sweet. And
Yeah,
then
I see.
only say it back when they are ready.
And you say, I know, and I appreciate you for that. And then when she's ready, she'll say it herself. Easy. More of your WhatsApps.
Hi, Clement and team. Regarding this guy that blurted out, I love you, 3 months into a relationship, there's actually a song by some American artists. It's called Something Stupid. You must find that song and play it for him. It goes something like, and then I spoiled it all by saying something stupid like, I love you. So you must play him that song. Maybe he'll learn a thing or two. King here from Roaring Fort.
Hi, Clement. 3 months. And the words, I love you, still weird her out. Okay, let me tell you about me, what my experience. I was talking to this guy. We spoke for like 2 months, and then he told me he loves me. Then that changed the whole thing. And here's the reason why it changed the whole thing. The reason why it changed everything, it was because I didn't see him like that. I enjoyed talking to him. We spoke almost every day and for long hours. I enjoyed him. He was, when there is just this chemistry. But when I'm with him, I realize I'm not physically attracted to this person. Yes, mentally we're fine. We're good. So that's why we stayed on in the talking stages for that long. My patients wouldn't allow me, if I want to be with you and we talk for that long, not for 3 months. If I am physically attracted to you, my patients won't allow me. But if I can go into 3 months, 4 months with you on a talking stage, it means I really do. I see you as a friend. You're my friend. You're my bra. Let's talk.
After God, fear this gender. Eh? Why do some women not just say that, yo, I think we're better as friends? Because some women let you, like they allow you to go on thinking that there's something that's gonna happen between you guys when they know that they've already friend zoned you, but they drag it up. Hey, danger.
Hi, Clement and 72 Lenders. 3 months, talking stage. Hi, Bo. Aren't you supposed to be getting married after 3 months? What?
Hey, good morning, Madimecha and the team. Great show as always. 3 months. And then the lady does not say anything. No. The guy must forget you. Must forget. I mean, I take you out on a date first week, second week, Ziyakhala. Ziyakhala. 3 months. I know. The lady's not for him. Forget my brother.
Second week? Come on. No ways.
Yeah, morning, Clement. Same here from Soweto. Anonymous, I know, man. It's like a tortoise. Very slow, or like a chameleon, in fact. It's very slow. In Tsonga, they say, Munti Poya Ramaika, chief. You don't wait for 3 months and all those kind of things. That is too long, man. In 2025, we lashile bafo, we lashile Anonymous. As kiss, by the way. Sharp.
Good morning, Clement. That man had said to the woman that he loves her, and she didn't see it back. So he must stop torturing himself, touching himself, or what he might have done wrong or said wrong, and going back and forth and playing the whole thing. He's just going to torture himself, end up having some mental breakdown. So the best thing for him to do is just to accept that he doesn't feel the same way and move on.
Yeah, Anonymous. All the best, my brother.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The future of mobility is here, and it's powered by clean energy. Join business leaders, policymakers, and innovators at the NEV Summit 2025, taking place on 22 and 23 October. Together, we're driving Africa's green industrial revolution, building new industries, creating jobs, and positioning Gauteng as the hub of sustainable mobility. Visit evsummit2025.co.za to learn more. The NEV Summit 2025, driving Gauteng towards a green automotive economy.
What you're hearing isn't a traffic accident. It's not panic braking. It's our amazing car-stopping 40th birthday deals. For a limited time only, Auto & General is offering great savings with our 40th birthday Ruby deals. Celebrate with us by visiting autogen.co.za for great personal and business car insurance savings. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online. Offer available for a limited time only.
Coming up on the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
How you doing, Mandy?
Good, thanks, Clement.
What's popping vandag?
The National Police Commissioner has been in Westbury today following that teen gang shooting yesterday.
So tragic.
So
13-year-old.
But unfortunately, this is, what we're dealing with crime. And then on the other hand, you've got what's going on at the Madlanga inquiry and at the ad hoc committee. So at the Madlanga inquiry, the investigating officer in the Armand Swart case is giving evidence there as witness B from a safe house. And then Senzo Mkunu still on the stand at the ad hoc committee. And then the Amapanyaza have been disbanded. So we'll speak to Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi.
What do you mean?
Just announced that the Amapanyaza have been disbanded.
What?
So we'll speak to him. There were concerns around whether or not it was legal. Remember, Mkhwanazi said that it wasn't legal.
Hey,
so we'll speak to Premier Panyaza Lesufi about that. And then inflation is up to 3.4%. So we'll speak to Stats SA.
All right, looking forward to that. That's the Midday Report coming up with Mandy Winner. Thank you for listening to the Wednesday edition of the Clement Manyathela show. We'll be back again with you tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Gauteng government has announced it will be disbanding the Crime Prevention Wardens program, but Amapanyaza will now undergo training to become provincial traffic officers. The wardens were introduced in 2023, with some police experts expressing concern over their lack of training. Questions were also raised over whether the unit was properly equipped to tackle